The story introduces Lil Rose Crane, the evil queen with white hair and red eyes, who once shook the empire, contrasted with her younger self as the crown princess. Lil Rose's tragic past unfolds, revealing she was a political pawn, manipulated by her family, and treated as an enemy by her royal in-laws. The white-haired woman in a blue dress kneels forlornly, while a black-haired man tenderly embraces a pink-haired woman in a grand hall. A somber crowd gathers around a guillotine in a town square, ready for an execution. The white-haired Lil Rose, with a faint scratch on her cheek, smiles with grim acceptance, stating she will die happily. Rose petals, stained crimson, fall as Lil Rose's final words echo, confirming the execution of the evil queen, Lil Rose. The scene shifts as a narrative interlude hints at a different outcome, revealing this was only the original story. The white-haired woman, Lil Rose, with red eyes, stands in a brightly lit room, looking confused but alive. The blonde Empress Dowager Trisha, described as a caring mother-in-law, scolds Lil Rose for her attire. Lil Rose is dressed in a sparkling pink gown, delighting the smiling Empress Dowager Trisha in the background. Lil Rose blushes as cosmetics are applied to her face, creating a stunning new look. The blonde Emperor's sister Lissa, excited by her cosmetic creations, declares Lil Rose's new look a masterpiece, while Empress Dowager Trisha beams. The blonde Emperor's younger brother Baldwin gently holds Lil Rose's hand, smiling at his beloved sister-in-law. Lil Rose is joyfully surrounded by Empress Dowager Trisha, Emperor's sister Lissa, and Emperor's younger brother Baldwin, who adore her new appearance. Lil Rose, adorned with pearls and a pink gem, smiles brightly, tears welling in her magenta eyes. Lil Rose, in her pink gown, smiles back at the black-haired Emperor Edmund as she confidently steps away. Emperor Edmund, with piercing yellow eyes, watches intently. Emperor Edmund pulls Lil Rose close, startling her with his possessive affection, as she questions his majesty. Emperor Edmund reminds Lil Rose of their promise to stay together, insisting she remains by his side. Lil Rose looks flustered yet blushing, overwhelmed by the Emperor's intense affection. Lil Rose is seated on Emperor Edmund's lap, while her adoring in-laws cheer on, revealing her unexpectedly happy future. The scene abruptly shifts to 8 years ago or Castle, indicating a flashback. Lil Rose lies collapsed on the floor, her long white hair fanned out, beside a small, ornate mirror. A brown-haired maid and 2 other women approach Lil Rose, calling her to dinner as she remains distraught. Lil Rose sits silently at a table, her back to the viewer, lost in thought. Lil Rose, confused, questions her identity and location, realizing she might have reincarnated, while the dark-haired aunt scolds her for her unbefitting behavior before a ceremony. Lil Rose, looking at her reflection, wonders if this Lil Rose is her, as her dark-haired aunt sternly confirms it's for her wedding ceremony. The dark-haired aunt harshly calls Lil Rose a failure, but vows to take responsibility. As a distressed Lil Rose internally rejects the situation. Lil Rose sees her young reflection in a wedding dress, and realizes she is getting married right after reincarnating, believing she is far too young. The dark-haired aunt sternly declares Lil Rose's marriage to Crown Prince Edmund of the Goldor Empire is non-negotiable. Text reveals the names Crane, Goldor, and Crown Prince Edmund. A book cover titled "The Sad Princess is Loved by the Tyrant" depicts Emperor Edmund embracing a pink-haired princess, revealing the fictional world Lil Rose now inhabits. Lil Rose realizes her new reality mirrors the novel where she's the villainess executed by her husband, wondering if she can escape that fate to become the heroine. A narration reflects on the original white-haired Lil Rose, expressing empathy for her despite being called a villainess. A past memory depicts a dark-haired woman, a brown-haired woman, and a black-haired man in modern clothes arguing about money saved from a part-time job. The stern, dark-haired aunt stands over a bowing, distressed Lil Rose, who is crying. The dark-haired aunt strikes Lil Rose, who then tearfully apologizes for being a failure. Lil Rose touches her forehead, worried if it has turned red from the blow. The dark-haired aunt raises her hand again, but Crown Prince Edmund, a white-haired man, intervenes to protect Lil Rose. Lil Rose smiles at her dark-haired aunt, thanking her for helping her focus. Lil Rose beams brightly, her eyes closed in a wide smile. The dark-haired aunt looks suspicious, her brow furrowed. The dark-haired aunt turns, reminding Lil Rose to fulfill her duty as a member of House Crane. Lil Rose, in her white wedding dress, stands with newfound determination. Lil Rose vows to change the story's outcome and avoid her original execution by doing things differently. Lil Rose smiles at her reflection, declaring she will change the future and be happy. Lil Rose walks down a sunlit church aisle towards the young, serious, black-haired Crown Prince Edmund awaiting her. The white-haired Lil Rose slowly approaches Crown Prince Edmund at the altar. As Lil Rose proceeds, she overhears a guest gossiping about the prince having to deal with the spoiled princess of House Crane. Lil Rose smiles sweetly and confidently in her white wedding dress, ready for her new future. Lil Rose, in her white wedding dress, formally greets the serious black-haired Crown Prince Edmund at the altar, acknowledging his golden blessings. In the audience, a dark-haired woman remarks on Lil Rose bowing her head, questioning if the Crane family truly wishes to tie themselves to the royal family. Lil Rose embraces Crown Prince Edmund, happily telling him they will be together forever from this moment on. Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund stand at the sunlit altar facing the priest, surrounded by seated guests in the grand church. Lil Rose leans close to Crown Prince Edmund, reassuring him with a soft, "Don't worry." Lil Rose, with a sly smile, tightly embraces Crown Prince Edmund during their wedding ceremony. Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund stand in a close, intimate embrace. Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund hug tightly at the altar, as delicate white rose petals softly fall around them. A voice in the grand church declares the Goldor Empire is now secure, while another observer expresses surprise, wondering what could be happening. Lil Rose looks utterly shocked, her magenta eyes wide, as she remains held in Crown Prince Edmund's embrace. Crown Prince Edmund gently smiles while embracing Lil Rose, asking her if they are friends. Crown Prince Edmund embraces Lil Rose, revealing he knows of her family's schemes and calls her attempts to deceive him useless, leaving a stunned Lil Rose asking, "No way." A narration reflects with surprise that this reaction is almost exactly the same as in the original story. Lil Rose appears terrified and flustered, her eyes wide with shock, still held in the calm embrace of Crown Prince Edmund. Several distinguished guests, including a dark-haired man and a blonde woman, observe the ceremony from their seats. A serious white-haired man in a fur-collared coat intently watches the ceremony from the audience. Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund stand at the altar, holding hands and looking at each other. Lil Rose looks down, troubled, acknowledging that she anticipated the situation wouldn't unfold smoothly. Lil Rose stands with a resolute expression amidst falling white roses, her magenta eyes focused. Crown Prince Edmund looks intently at Lil Rose with a serious and unwavering gaze. As a hand combs Lil Rose's white hair while she is wrapped in a towel, she reflects on the impending wedding night, considering it a formality since they are still children. A dark-haired maid and a brown-haired maid stand together in the room, both appearing concerned. Lil Rose, having her hair combed, quietly thinks that others must be fearful of the craze and her Lady Lil Rose. A panoramic view displays the Grand Goldor Empire, whose past glory involved dominating the continent with magic gold. A hand holds glowing magic gold crystals, and narration explains this crucial magic stone has declined in annual production, causing the nation's power to wane. The Ninth Emperor, on horseback, leads his armored soldiers in wars, ultimately gaining vast territories and numerous magic stone mines. Despite military victories, the real control over mining fell to others, and the imperial family's authority was never fully restored, as shown by a faded portrait. Lil Rose, in a white nightgown, stands in a luxurious room, softly calling out, "Edmund," as two maids observe from the doorway. Lil Rose stands in her lavishly furnished room, thinking that Crown Prince Edmund's absence is expected, noting his cautious nature. From behind, a dark-haired maid politely asks Lil Rose to wait until His Highness the Crown Prince arrives. Lil Rose smiles slyly and dismisses the dark-haired maid, telling her she may leave. Alone in her grand room, Lil Rose wonders how long she will have to wait. Lil Rose sits on a luxurious couch, thinking that if she could avoid execution, she wouldn't even need to be there, given Edmund's destiny with the heroine. Lil Rose is startled when a small, happy blonde girl, Lissa, excitedly finds her. exclaiming, "Lady Mio! I found you." Lil Rose stares with surprise at the young blonde girl Lissa, who addresses her as Lady Mio. The dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid rush into the room, distressed and protesting. "You can't do this." The dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid kneel before Lil Rose and the blonde girl, deeply apologizing to the crown princess. Lil Rose observes the blonde girl, Lissa, realizing that she is the imperial princess. A side-by-side depiction of Lissa as a child and as a grown woman reveals that in the original story, she was praised as a perfect, doll-like lady. Young Lissa claps her hands together, her face beaming with pure joy and excitement. Lil Rose affectionately smiles at the excited young Lisa, calling her cute and musing about how such a perfect lady could have been like this. The young blonde girl, Lissa, asks Lil Rose if the bride will stay forever and not go home, to which Lil Rose reassures her, confirming this is now her home. Young Lisa jumps enthusiastically on the furniture, causing the two maids to panic in alarm. Lisa continues to jump wildly, prompting the maids to cry out, "Imperial Princess," in alarm. Lil Rose quickly falls to the ground, shielding Lisa from a tumble. Lil Rose holds a surprised and upset Lisa closely after their fall, both looking a bit disheveled. Lisa lies on the floor after the fall, appearing unharmed but a little dazed. The dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid rush to a distressed Lissa, questioning why the imperial princess is in such an unbefitting place. Lil Rose gently smiles at Lisa, telling her that her fall is not a big deal. Lil Rose internally reflects that she can endure the pain, yet she cannot stop trembling and is confused by an unfamiliar feeling. The dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid rush in, distressed as Lil Rose and Lisa are on the ground. The dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid look distressed, while Lissa, on the floor, looks up with tearful eyes. The dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid deeply apologize to Lissa and Lil Rose for the situation, stating there was no malice. Lil Rose, shielding Lisa, reflects on something as the dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid look on in shock. Lil Rose gently smiles down at Lisa on the floor, while the dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid look on in surprise. Lil Rose, with closed eyes, wonders about the unfamiliar sensation that faded when she saw a crying child. Lil Rose, smiling, affectionately touches Lisa's forehead, telling her, "Pain, fly away," as Lisa blushes. Lissa, with a joyful smile, mimics Lil Rose, telling the bride's pain to fly away, while Lil Rose smiles softly. Lil Rose and Lissa sit happily, holding hands and smiling, surrounded by a soft, floral background. Lil Rose hugs a joyful Lissa, who cheers excitedly as the two maids watch with warm smiles. A man's legs walk across a red carpet towards a brightly lit doorway, entering a dark space. Lil Rose and Lisa are startled as Crown Prince Edmund, surrounded by thorns, confronts them angrily. Crown Prince Edmund, filled with rage, fiercely tells someone not to touch his sister. Lil Rose kneels, holding her hands up, as a worried Lissa watches, caught in the escalating tension. Crown Prince Edmund strides into the room, his determined footsteps echoing as the maids watch Lil Rose and Lisa with concern. Crown Prince Edmund sternly accuses Lil Rose of treating torture as a game, grabbing her arm. Crown Prince Edmund twists Lil Rose's arm, accusing her of cruelty as she cries out in pain. Lil Rose crouches, clutching her arm in evident pain, her long, white hair fanned around her. Lil Rose reflects on the original Lil Rose's painful memories of being a demon and how no one would protect her. Crown Prince Edmund stands looking down with a serious and contemplative expression. Lil Rose grimaces in pain, overwhelmed as Lil Rose's original painful memories flood into her mind. In a dark, chained cavern, a figure resembling Lil Rose is seen near a magic beast, as a thought wonders about controlling such creatures. Lil Rose, enduring fear, trains a magic beast with a whip, watched by a light-haired man to avoid abandonment by her father. Despite her efforts, young Lil Rose struggles to tame the snarling, chained magic beast, proving unsuccessful. The magic beast roars, its fangs bared, as Lil Rose's terrified, tear-filled eye is shown below. Lil Rose clutches her injured hand, reflecting that the memory of pain is enough and that she was always missing something. Crown Prince Edmund, looking concerned, asks Lil Rose how her hand got injured. Lil Rose sits on the floor, holding her injured hand, lost in thought about the current situation. Lil Rose and Lisa are shown comforting each other, holding hands, seemingly having reconciled. Lisa looks up with a furious and determined expression, her fists clenched, ready to fight. Crown Prince Edmund pulls Lil Rose up by her arm while Lisa remains on the floor. The maids explain to Crown Prince Edmund that Lil Rose helped Princess Lisa when she fell, causing her injury. Crown Prince Edmund looks thoughtfully at his hand, a pensive expression on his face. Crown Prince Edmund kneels, holding Lil Rose's hand and sincerely apologizing, surprising her. Crown Prince Edmund kneels, gently holding Lil Rose's glowing hands as golden light illuminates them both. Crown Prince Edmund tells Lil Rose he will send a medical officer to examine her, and she thanks him. The maids smile as the dark-haired maid tells Lil Rose it's time to rest, while Lil Rose smiles at a grumpy Lisa. Lil Rose is embarrassed, realizing she completely forgot something, while Crown Prince Edmund looks serious. Lil Rose lies awake in bed, worried she won't be able to sleep, next to the sleeping Crown Prince Edmund. Lil Rose in bed thinks about getting used to being with Crown Prince Edmund every night and closing the distance between them. Lil Rose, lying in bed next to the sleeping Crown Prince Edmund, silently acknowledges something. Crown Prince Edmund, in bed with Lil Rose, secretly thinks that she is still under surveillance. Crown Prince Edmund turns his back, stating it's not necessary, as they are only sleeping together tonight. Lil Rose lies in bed, looking shocked and flustered by Crown Prince Edmund's words. Lil Rose lies in bed, looking slightly upset and confused by the situation. Lil Rose decides to sleep, recognizing she has a long fight ahead and needs rest. Lil Rose cries out in her sleep, pleading, "Stop, Edgar! Don't take Lisa too!" Crown Prince Edmund wakes abruptly, his eye wide with surprise, wondering, "Prince Edmund?" Lil Rose sits up, asking Crown Prince Edmund if he's all right, noting he looks troubled. Crown Prince Edmund rubs his face, dismissively saying it's nothing while looking distraught. Lil Rose thinks that Crown Prince Edmund called out for Edgar in his sleep, realizing it must be his late brother, the former Crown Prince. Narration reveals that about a year ago, in spring, a kidnapping attempt at the palace targeted Edmund and his twin brother, Edgar. Red roses bloom as narration sadly explains that the kidnapping incident ended in tragedy, with Crown Prince Edgar losing his life. Young Crown Prince Edmund sleeps peacefully as narration explains he carried the trauma until he turned 16, then fell in love with the heroine. Lil Rose looks distressed, thinking she has to endure this for 7 more years, but believes that even if she acts like the heroine, it won't reach Crown Prince Edmund. Lil Rose gets out of bed, her expression resolute, thinking that spending 7 years doing nothing with a suffering Crown Prince Edmund is impossible. Crown Prince Edmund sleeps, his expression troubled, as Lil Rose next to him looks pensive. Lil Rose sits beside Crown Prince Edmund in bed, holding a cloth and gently waking him as he looks up startled. Crown Prince Edmund wakes with a gasp, his eyes wide and distressed, wiping his face with a cloth. Lil Rose, sitting on the bed next to Crown Prince Edmund, reassures him that everything is okay and the palace is safe now. Lil Rose holds Crown Prince Edmund's hand gently, offering comfort as he still appears a bit dazed and worried. Lil Rose gently strokes Crown Prince Edmund's hand, internally reflecting on how their destinies seem to be revolving around each other. Lil Rose smiles softly, a slight blush on her cheeks, as her hair flows around her. Lil Rose strokes Crown Prince Edmund's hair reassuringly while holding his hand, as he appears calmer, thinking, "It's okay." Crown Prince Edmund sleeps soundly and peacefully in bed, his worries momentarily forgotten. Lil Rose smiles softly, looking down at the sleeping Crown Prince Edmund, thinking he looks like he has calmed down. Lil Rose, observing the sleeping Crown Prince Edmund, thinks it would be bad to wake him again and decides to sleep elsewhere in the room. As Lil Rose attempts to get out of bed, Crown Prince Edmund, still asleep, grabs her arm and pulls her back, surprising her. Lil Rose lies in bed, looking surprised and flustered as Crown Prince Edmund clings to her, his head on her chest. Crown Prince Edmund pulls Lil Rose tightly into an embrace, startling her as they both lie in bed. A hand softly closes the bedroom door from outside, as Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund lie in a tight embrace on the grand bed. Lil Rose, held tightly by Crown Prince Edmund, thinks that, despite the cramped feeling, she cannot simply put up with this. Lil Rose, while held by Crown Prince Edmund, reflects on his future as a tyrant and her goal of avoiding execution, meaning he cannot be her enemy. Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund sleep, embraced by the morning light, as she reflects on him sleeping so defenselessly. Lil Rose smiles, holding Crown Prince Edmund, thinking she will put up with the embrace for today if it helps them become good friends and close the distance. Lil Rose looks frustrated and distressed as a hand combs her hair, thinking about how her situation is not what she had thought. Lil Rose remembers Crown Prince Edmund clinging to her tightly all night, even though she planned to sleep separately. Lil Rose, sitting at a table with Crown Prince Edmund, asks him about yesterday, but he looks confused and asks what she's talking about. Lil Rose looks dismayed, thinking that Crown Prince Edmund doesn't remember a thing from last night. Lil Rose is dressed and thinking that Crown Prince Edmund avoids her and refuses to talk, which means she needs a countermeasure or she will be executed. Lil Rose, looking determined, thinks to herself, "That's it," as young blonde Lisa peeks into the room from a doorway. Lil Rose, getting her hair done by the brown-haired maid, sees Lisa and thinks that if it's Lisa, they got a bit closer yesterday. Lisa suddenly appears, startling the brown-haired maid who cries out, "Eek!" while Lil Rose looks surprised. Lil Rose, in a white outfit, smiles mischievously at the brown-haired maid who is combing her hair and compliments her, saying she looks lovely. Lil Rose, looking kindly, addresses the crying brown-haired maid, thinking that she understands the maid's distress. Lil Rose, smiling sweetly, sits with the brown-haired maid and asks if she can ask a small favor, addressing her as Manon. Crown Prince Edmund, with a determined expression, practices sword fighting, wielding a wooden sword. Crown Prince Edmund trains with a wooden sword against a taller, light-haired man wearing glasses and an ornate cape, who holds a similar wooden weapon. The light-haired man with glasses, holding a wooden stick, questions Crown Prince Edmund, who holds his wooden sword, if he properly watched his movements. A close-up shows the light-haired man with glasses looking surprised and slightly dismayed. The light-haired man in glasses lectures Crown Prince Edmund, who is on the ground, saying he lacks focus in his legs and hips and would not have moved like that if he had been watching. Crown Prince Edmund sits on the ground after his training, while Lil Rose and the brown-haired maid observe him from a distance. Lil Rose looks concerned and a little flustered, thinking to herself if this harsh treatment is truly considered training. Crown Prince Edmund looks downcast, and Lil Rose thinks that no matter his answer, the man intends to deny it, calling it bullying without clear correction methods. The light-haired man in glasses sternly tells Crown Prince Edmund to quickly heal his wound and stand up. The light-haired man with glasses looks surprised, seemingly reacting to something he just witnessed or heard. The brown-haired maid gently advises Lil Rose that perhaps it would be best if they came again another time, looking concerned. Lil Rose looks determined, her eyes narrowed, while the brown-haired maid behind her appears startled and cries out, "Eek!" Lil Rose, in a grand dress, stands in front of the light-haired man with glasses, interrupting Crown Prince Edmund's harsh training. Lil Rose smiles confidently, with the brown-haired maid looking startled behind her, as she stands amidst falling purple rose petals. The light-haired man with glasses asks the dark-haired boy why he would come to such a place, as Crown Prince Edmund sits on the ground. Lil Rose, with white hair, smiles, asking if it's strange for a loving wife to check on her dear husband, as the brown-haired maid behind her looks shocked and the obscured man denies. Lil Rose, with a mischievous smile and glowing pink eyes, thinks that no matter what she does, she's the villainess, and rhetorically asks, "Isn't that right?" The light-haired man with glasses looks surprised and asks, "Huh?" Crown Prince Edmund, the dark-haired boy, confirms Lil Rose's statement, saying, "Yes, that's right." Lil Rose, with white hair, smiles confidently amidst purple petals, declaring she will make good use of her position as the villainess. Lil Rose, with white hair, smiles contentedly, while Crown Prince Edmund is seen sitting on the ground in the background. The light-haired man with glasses reacts with a surprised, "What?" while Lil Rose, with white hair, claps her hands cheerfully, urging him to, "Come on, hurry." The light-haired man with glasses looks shocked as a sparkling ring, the symbol of House Klein, appears on his hand. Lil Rose, with white hair, exclaims happily about being able to relax, as the light-haired man with glasses walks away quickly carrying a box, with the brown-haired maid looking on. Crown Prince Edmund, the dark-haired boy, asks Lil Rose why she is interfering, stating his answer regarding yesterday will not change. Crown Prince Edmund, the dark-haired boy, asks if Lil Rose is talking about sleeping together at night. Crown Prince Edmund states he won't ask Lil Rose to sleep with him anymore due to her trouble sleeping, as Lil Rose, with white hair, and the brown-haired maid look on. Lil Rose, with white hair, is seen under a blue cloth, asking Manon to help, who eagerly agrees as the cloth covers them both and a basket of refreshments is nearby. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks pleased as she sips from a glass of lemonade, while the brown-haired maid stands behind her, looking surprised. Lil Rose's hand offers a glass of lemonade to Crown Prince Edmund, who looks surprised as she says, "Here you go." Lil Rose smiles, holding a glass of lemonade, while Crown Prince Edmund thinks she just barged in, making the lemonade herself instead of having a handmaiden do it. Lil Rose throws lemon slices in the air, smiling mischievously, while Crown Prince Edmund looks startled by her actions. Crown Prince Edmund holds the lemonade, looking wary, then takes a cautious sip. Crown Prince Edmund grimaces after sipping the lemonade, as Lil Rose, looking surprised, asks if he prefers it sweeter, with the brown-haired maid also visible. Lil Rose, looking a bit flustered, thinks it's a habit from her mother, who would always say she would get fat drinking something so sweet. Crown Prince Edmund quickly finishes the lemonade, while Lil Rose looks surprised by his action. Crown Prince Edmund holds the empty glass, stating, "I am grateful." Lil Rose looks happily surprised, realizing Crown Prince Edmund is not ignoring her anymore while reaching for the glass. Crown Prince Edmund, the dark-haired boy, tells Lil Rose her consort training is about to begin. Narration explains consort training was originally to acquire skills to support the emperor, showing ancient texts and a stylized image of an emperor and empress. A white-haired man, framed by thorns, thinks they will not allow a daughter of House Klein to be treated in such a manner. A dark-haired man thinks that even if it's the Kleins, they won't permit them to interfere in imperial affairs, with narration explaining it became a stage for power struggles. Narration continues, stating that Lil Rose and Edmund's cold relationship was made known to everyone, showing them standing far apart with a stark color division. Lil Rose, with white hair, holding a lemonade glass, thinks to herself that it certainly will be difficult. Lil Rose, with white hair, smiles, stating that's why she'll finish this before that happens, while Crown Prince Edmund looks on. Lil Rose, with white hair, smiles brightly while happily sewing a piece of fabric, with a basket of sewing supplies beside her. Lil Rose, with white hair, smiles and tells Crown Prince Edmund that what she needs to do before consort training is to spend time with him. Crown Prince Edmund looks surprised by Lil Rose's words. Lil Rose, with her eye narrowed and a determined smile, states that being wasteful is a sin, holding a needle. Lil Rose tells Crown Prince Edmund that money disappears instantly but is incredibly hard to earn as he stands looking at her. Lil Rose, with a slight blush, nervously laughs and tells Crown Prince Edmund to not mind her. Crown Prince Edmund looks pensive, with light emanating from the side. Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, and the brown-haired maid are sitting on the floor in the grand hall. Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, and the brown-haired maid are shown from above, with Crown Prince Edmund hunched over. Crown Prince Edmund looks down sadly. A dark, blood-splattered panel with aggressive sound effects, indicating a violent, chaotic memory. A young Crown Prince Edmund walks down a blood-splattered hallway, then his eyes snaps open in terror as he sees something dreadful, feeling deep fear. The young Crown Prince Edmund huddles, crying out, "Ah!" Lil Rose, with white hair, is seen crying in a tight embrace with Crown Prince Edmund, who is holding her hand with the ring. Lil Rose, with white hair, gently comforts the crying Crown Prince Edmund, pulling a blanket around him while she holds a needle and thimble. Lil Rose, with white hair, smiles softly as she continues to comfort the dark-haired Crown Prince Edmund, who is now covered by a blanket. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks surprised as the light-haired man with glasses, accompanied by other men, walks in dramatically with an umbrella. The light-haired man with glasses looks shocked and angry. The light-haired man with glasses thinks, "How carefree," then calls out to Crown Prince Edmund to wake up, who is still huddling with Lil Rose. Lil Rose looks concerned, thinking that Crown Prince Edmund had only just managed to fall asleep. Lil Rose, with white hair, thinks that the light-haired man with glasses didn't prepare things as instructed, after stating she told him to get things ready, while he looks annoyed. Lil Rose smiles ominously, questioning how he couldn't understand such a simple command. The light-haired man with glasses looks angry and calls Lil Rose, "You useless woman." Lil Rose, with white hair and serious expression, confronts the light-haired man with glasses, who reaches out towards her. A dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim interrupts, asking what the meaning of this is, as Lil Rose and the light-haired man with glasses stand nearby. A close-up of the dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim reveals his stern expression. The dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim asks what is going on as he observes Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, the light-haired man with glasses, and a white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape. A close-up reveals the white-haired man with green eyes and a fur-trimmed cape, looking thoughtful. The light-haired man with glasses looks startled, asking if you two are here. Lil Rose looks surprised, while the light-haired man with glasses behind her appears shocked and distressed. In the grand hall, the dark-haired man with gold trim, the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape, Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, and the light-haired man with glasses are present as a dark-haired man from behind bows, offering golden blessings to His Majesty the Emperor. The dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim looks pensive. The white-haired man with green eyes and a fur-trimmed cape looks thoughtful against a shimmering purple background with rose petals. Lil Rose looks on with a pensive expression, observing the unfolding situation. The white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape asks if this situation is related to the Crown Princess, then remarks, "What a coincidence," as Lil Rose looks away. The light-haired man with glasses looks shocked. Crown Prince Edmund appears surprised, and Lil Rose thinks she needed overwhelming authority to silence the man who torments Edmund. Lil Rose, with her eyes closed, thinks all she had to do was accuse him of his crimes, as the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape looks down at her amidst crackling purple energy. Lil Rose looks distressed and confused, her eyes wide, asking, "Why?" as blue, crackling energy surrounds her. The dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim demands the Crown Princess explain the situation, while the light-haired man with glasses looks shocked, and a dark, imposing figure is partially visible. Lil Rose clenches her hand, making a tisk sound as purple energy crackles around her. Lil Rose, with glowing pink eyes, looks angry and determined. The light-haired man with glasses loudly exclaims that there's no way he could perform at such a level before His Majesty, as Crown Prince Edmund looks surprised. The light-haired man with glasses angrily declares it impossible, asserting such skill was only possible due to His Majesty's extraordinary talent, not for Sir Edmund. The dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim tells Lil Rose and the white-haired man in fur that his request for them to come implied more than what he told them, as Crown Prince Edmund looks thoughtful, thinking he will find meaning in this. Lil Rose looks uneasy, observing the dark-haired man with gold trim and the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape, standing near Crown Prince Edmund. A group, including Crown Prince Edmund holding a wooden sword, Lil Rose, the light-haired man with glasses, the dark-haired man with gold trim, and the white-haired man in fur gather in the grand hall. Crown Prince Edmund concentrates, gripping his wooden sword, his eyes snapping open with determination. Crown Prince Edmund holds his wooden sword horizontally with a focused expression. Crown Prince Edmund performs a dynamic pose with the wooden sword surrounded by golden sparkles. Golden energy trails from Crown Prince Edmund as he swings his wooden sword in a powerful stance. The dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim watches as Crown Prince Edmund's foot stomps the ground, creating golden sparks. Crown Prince Edmund is shown in a dynamic, mid-air pose, wielding his wooden sword with emanating golden energy. Crown Prince Edmund takes a confident stance with his wooden sword, facing the dark-haired man with gold trim, as Lil Rose and others observe in the background. The dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim, the brown-haired maid, Lil Rose, the light-haired man with glasses, and the white-haired man in fur watch the performance. Lil Rose claps her hands in front of Crown Prince Edmund, who looks surprised. Lil Rose, with white hair, smiles brightly and claps her hands, radiating happiness. The dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim, the brown-haired maid, and the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape all look surprised, as Lil Rose thinks she doesn't quite understand, but acknowledges it's magic, reminding her this is a world from a book, and notes their reactions. Crown Prince Edmund looks surprised, thinking his prediction was not wrong. The light-haired man with glasses clears his throat. The light-haired man with glasses claps enthusiastically, smiling broadly, thinking it took some effort to reach this point. Lil Rose looks unimpressed, thinking that the light-haired man with glasses is trying to claim all the credit after giving such ridiculous training. The dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim glares at the light-haired man with glasses, who looks uncomfortable. Crown Prince Edmund looks back towards the light-haired man with glasses, who is still clapping, while the dark-haired man with gold trim and the white-haired man in fur watch. The dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim asks the light-haired man with glasses, "Isn't that right, Edmund?" as the light-haired man with glasses looks surprised, and Lil Rose looks downcast. The dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim narrates that Crown Prince Edmund's martial demonstration was perfect, reproducing everything, including his own failure from that day. Crown Prince Edmund looks surprised. The white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape looks thoughtful, while the light-haired man with glasses appears shocked, denying the possibility of such skill, as the brown-haired maid observes. The dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim looks serious, calling out, "Edmund." The dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim asks Lil Rose, "What do you mean?" as she looks surprised. Lil Rose, with white hair, smiles subtly, extending her hands against a shimmering purple background. The light-haired man with glasses looks shocked and angry, as a thought bubble implies he always instructs Crown Prince Edmund in that harsh manner. The dark-haired man with yellow eyes is shown above as the light-haired man with glasses, looking distressed, thinks about that gentleman amid shimmering blue energy. A dark-haired man observes Lil Rose, the light-haired man with glasses, and another light-haired man as a thought bubble reveals a problem. Crown Prince Edmund continues to perfectly imitate the movements. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks downcast as she thinks about that instructor. Lil Rose's thought continues, lamenting that the instructor failed to notice something even she, a novice, could see, and continued to disparage Edmund, as the light-haired man with glasses looks uncomfortable. The light-haired man with glasses shouts, "That's a lie," in protest, while Emperor Edmund looks sternly at him, and Lil Rose with white hair observes. Emperor Edmund, the dark-haired man with green eyes and gold trim, looks serious and resolute. Emperor Edmund looks pensive, closing his eyes in deep thought. Emperor Edmund's thought suggests they need to reconsider the instructor, as the light-haired man with glasses looks completely shocked and distressed. The light-haired man with glasses yells "Your Majesty" in dismay, reaching out towards Emperor Edmund, who stands with Crown Prince Edmund, Lil Rose, and another light-haired man. Lil Rose, with white hair and pink eyes, looks uneasy and concerned. Emperor Edmund thinks that there's no way Crown Prince Edmund could be bad at swordsmanship or a slow learner, as Lil Rose and the brown-haired maid stand nearby. A narrative panel states that this situation happened at Emperor Edmund's coronation ceremony, showing a regal figure's legs as a thought proclaims, "Long live the new emperor, His Majesty Edmund." The narrative describes the coronation as a joyous occasion marred by unpleasant memories, with masked, smiling figures surrounding Emperor Edmund on his throne, marking the dawn of a new era. A light-haired man in a green suit presents a gift to Emperor Edmund, stating it's to celebrate his coronation, but another voice asks if he doesn't owe an apology first. Emperor Edmund sits on his throne in Imperial calendar year 378, as a man in a white suit accuses another man, visible from behind, of embezzlement and extortion from the detached palace's budget. A gloved hand points at the light-haired man with glasses, accusing him of embezzlement and fraud, while he looks surprised. A gloved hand points at a light-haired man in a brown suit and blue cravat, accusing him of assault, extortion, and unlawful punishment, as other attendees look on. Emperor Edmund, with black hair, sits on his throne, looking down, and asks if anyone has an explanation for these accusations. The light-haired man in the green suit raises his hands, denying any memory of such actions and claiming it must be a mistake. Emperor Edmund with black hair stands holding a golden sword with red glowing eyes, surrounded by blood-splattered gold energy as a man lies on the floor. Horrified onlookers are splattered with blood, looking terrified, as a thought bubble declares them incompetent for not remembering their own deeds. Emperor Edmund with black hair and red glowing eyes holds a golden sword, thinking that remembering past deeds is, quote, unnecessary, surrounded by dark energy. A dark blood-red panel with aggressive sound effects signifies a chaotic and violent memory. Narrative text explains that foolish adults underestimated Crown Prince Edmund's talent due to this, as the light-haired man with glasses is restrained by two other men, looking distressed. Narrative text states that Edmund's experiences led to increasing distrust, culminating in his condemnation at his own coronation, showing Emperor Edmund collapsed on the floor. A narrative thought notes that the more cunning villains weren't judged on the spot, as the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape looks thoughtful against a purple background. Lil Rose looks thoughtful, contemplating that the original Crown Prince Edmund was obedient and earnest, wondering if it's possible to avoid the dark future of Emperor Edmund. Lil Rose, with white hair and pink eyes, smiles brightly and confidently amidst sparkles, declaring that she has decided on a concrete course of action. The white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape asks Lil Rose why he was summoned to this place. The white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape states he would understand if only His Majesty was invited, but he doesn't know why he was invited as well. Lil Rose's hands grip her white dress as she thinks, with visible distress in her pink eyes. Lil Rose thinks it's no use. She can't stop trembling when aware of her father, remembering she managed to force her way through earlier, but Lil Rose's thought continues, expressing fear that she might not be able to overcome her trembling a second time. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks distressed and uncomfortable, a drop of sweat on her temple reflecting her unease. Lil Rose looks away, showing her long white hair, while Lisa, a blonde child, is visible in the background. Lisa, a blonde child, sits surrounded by flowers, eating honey from a pot and looking innocent with honey on her face and hands. Lisa, a blonde child, continues to enjoy honey from a pot, surrounded by flowers, looking sweet and a bit messy. Lisa, the blonde child, looks distressed while being observed by a group, including the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape, Emperor Edmund, Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, and the light-haired man with glasses. Lisa, the blonde child, looks shocked and upset, with honey on her face and vibrant yellow energy surrounding her. Crown Prince Edmund looks surprised, while Emperor Edmund looks serious, and the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape watches, as Crown Prince Edmund's thoughts trail off. Emperor Edmund commands a dark-haired man to take the princess, and the dark-haired man in uniform behind him responds, "Okay." The brown-haired maid looks flustered, holding out her hands in protest, as Lisa, the blonde child, looks upset while being picked up by the dark-haired man in uniform. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks uncomfortable and exhausted, her eyes closed with a visible drop of sweat. Lil Rose looks further distressed, eyes closed, as Crown Prince Edmund and the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape observe the scene with serious expressions. Narrative text explains that this operation required a third party to witness Edmund's demonstration, and a third party with enough status to silence the annoying captain, shown with a younger Crown Prince Edmund and the light-haired man with glasses. Lil Rose, with white hair, and the brown-haired maid receive invitations sealed with purple wax, as Lil Rose thinks she had expected them to send a proxy at most. Emperor Edmund, Crown Prince Edmund, and the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape look serious, as Emperor Edmund's thought expresses that this is totally unexpected. A thought bubble questions if Lil Rose is actually super talented, while the brown-haired maid looks shocked, Lisa cries, and Crown Prince Edmund attempts to comfort her as Lil Rose calmly observes the scene. The brown-haired maid protests that Lisa did nothing as the blonde child cries loudly on the floor, clinging to a white dress observed by a dark-haired man. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks on with a neutral expression as the brown-haired maid and a dark-haired man react with concern to the crying blonde child. Lissa, the blonde child, looks distressed with honey on her face and denies having eaten anything. Lil Rose, with white hair, offers Lisa anything she wants if she liked it, but then looks pensive. Lil Rose, with white hair, asks Lisa what she thinks about eating things without permission or lying, making the blonde child look uneasy. The blonde child, Lisa, looks distressed and uncomfortable, a visible drop of sweat on her temple. Lil Rose, with white hair, smiles gently, seemingly awaiting Lisa's response. Lil Rose, with white hair and arms crossed, intently watches the blonde child as the brown-haired maid and a dark-haired man look on nervously. The blonde child, Lisa, kneels down in apology to Lil Rose, who watches with her arms still crossed. Emperor Edmund, with dark hair and green eyes, looks on with surprise, while Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, expresses his shock. Lissa, the blonde child, cries tears of honey, asking if Lil Rose now hates her, as a hand with an ornate sleeve gently touches her head. Lil Rose, with white hair, gently embraces the crying blonde child, Lisa, comforting her. Emperor Edmund, with dark hair and green eyes, looks thoughtful, surprised that the strong-willed Lissa would apologize so sincerely. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, thinks about Lissa also noticing his talent, while Emperor Edmund, with dark hair, observes. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, wonders about the implications of summoning Lil Rose's father, the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape, to this place. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks away, thinking she knew she stood out too much in her father's eyes, as her father, the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape, and Emperor Edmund, with dark hair, observe. Narrative text explains that, in the original story, Lil Rose had to submit regular reports to her father, leading the royal family to notice her suspicious behavior and the gap between them to grow wider. Lil Rose's thoughts consider that this situation might work in her favor, despite her father scolding her if she kept Edmund's talent to herself, and reporting him could ruin her plan to get closer to Edmund, concluding that worrying won't change things. Lil Rose, with white hair, embraces the blonde child Lisa, who is crying happily. Lil Rose's father, the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape, claps lightly and praises Lil Rose's obvious devotion to her husband, calling her conduct befitting a crown princess for dismissing the royalist tutor and giving vital information about the crown prince. Lil Rose's father, the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape, looking directly at the viewer, gives Lil Rose a passing grade, finding her actions truly admirable. Lil Rose's father, the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape, states he must return to his duties soon and will be counting on her to successfully win over the prince and continue to protect Crown Prince Edmund, as Lil Rose, with white hair, looks thoughtful. The white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape looks at Crown Prince Edmund, who calmly says he understands. Emperor Edmund, with dark hair, addresses Lil Rose as Crown Princess and says he will hear her story again some other day, while the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape stands beside him. Lil Rose, with white hair, watches the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape and Emperor Edmund, with dark hair, walk away into the palace hall. Lil Rose, with white hair, reflects that, despite a few mishaps, the grand finale of her plan brings her one step away from the dead end of her predetermined future. Lil Rose, with white hair, suddenly stumbles, causing Lisa, the blonde child, to exclaim, "Princess!" Lil Rose, with white hair, thinks about Lissa's innocent expression before lamenting that everything is spinning and she feels sick, realizing this is the third or fourth time she has felt pain thinking about her father. Lil Rose, with white hair, wakes up in bed, letting out a soft, "Ugh!" The blonde child, Lisa, and Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, look surprised while peering over the bed Lil Rose is in. Lil Rose, with white hair, sits up in bed, looking concerned, and apologizes for causing trouble. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, sternly tells Lil Rose, with white hair, to stop fussing and focus on her recovery, while the blonde child, Lissa, looks on from behind the covers. Lil Rose, with white hair, thinks Crown Prince Edmund is still as strict as ever, despite hoping he had relaxed a little, and decides to rest since her head still feels fuzzy, while Lissa, the blonde child, sits beside her. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks surprised in bed as Lisa, the blonde child, and a chibi Crown Prince Edmund look on, with a small rabbit appearing from behind Lisa. A box of toys is handed to Lil Rose, with white hair, who is still in bed, by the blonde child, Lisa, while Crown Prince Edmund watches with his arms crossed. The blonde child, Lisa, happily presents a teddy bear and a toy snake to Lil Rose, with white hair, as Crown Prince Edmund with dark hair observes. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks surprised and slightly flustered, gently touching her cheek. Lil Rose, with white hair, sits up in bed, watching Lisa, the blonde child, play with the teddy bear, while Crown Prince Edmund sits nearby. A lavish dining table is set with various dishes showcasing the grandeur of House Crane. 4 white-haired men sit at a long, ornate dining table in a grand room. A white-haired man asks for the report for today, looking sternly at the table. A white-haired man, Claude, identified as the first son of House Crane and captain of the White Heron Knights, looks forward. A younger white-haired man, James, identified as the second son of House Crane and a priest school student, smiles while stating his studies for the priest exam are progressing smoothly. A third white-haired man, Roland, identified as the third son of House Crane and a priest school student, states there are no problems, looking surprised. The white-haired man from image 392 asks Roland, the third son, if he failed the magic stone class again today. The white-haired man asks Roland, the third son, if he is still part of the Crane family, calling his performance how embarrassing, while Roland looks downcast. A white-haired man says that Rose, who collapsed earlier, was one of them, indicating she's one of their problematic family members. A man thinks it's only a matter of time before everyone realizes the princess is incapable of handling magic beasts or magic stones, concluding that the crown prince's duties were too much for her. A white-haired man with a cunning smile thinks Lil Rose collapsed at just the right time, as he writes at his desk. Narrative text explains the crown prince discovered and reported his unique talent, while the light-haired man with green eyes observes, believing things are progressing better and the situation should capture their attention. The white-haired man with green eyes looks on with a faint smile, thinking there may be some hope after all. Roland, the white-haired third son of House Crane, looks worriedly while sitting at a grand dining table. A hand reaches for a fork at a lavish dining table as a thought mentions Lil Rose. Chibi Lisa, blonde and holding a pink bunny plush, smiles happily while Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, rests contentedly behind her. Chibi Lil Rose, white-haired, looks confused in bed with a spoon, as Chibi Lisa, blonde, whimpers next to her, observed by Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired. Chibi Lil Rose looks exasperated as a loudly crying Chibi Lisa, blonde, clings to her. Chibi Lil Rose slumps over, defeated, with a crying Chibi Lisa clinging to her, while Chibi Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, sits with arms crossed, calmly remarking, "Ha!" and Lisa cries. Chibi Lil Rose, flustered, tries to reassure someone that she is fine while holding the crying Chibi Lisa, blonde. Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, sits seriously, arms crossed, thinking he is still not at ease. Lil Rose, white-haired, looks concerned while holding the crying blonde child, Lisa. Chibi Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, thinks he hasn't gotten closer to his friends and that the gazes feel heavy, while Chibi Lil Rose looks worried beside Chibi Lisa. Lil Rose, white-haired, looks annoyed in bed with an X tape over her mouth as Lisa, blonde, looks at her intently. Lil Rose, white-haired, looks surprised in bed as Lisa, blonde, happily presents a decorative box. A hand reaches into a box filled with sewing supplies, like spools of thread, buttons, and scissors. Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, looks surprised and upset, grabbing Lisa's, blonde, wrist. Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, exclaims, "Why not?" "Ah!" as Lisa, blonde, protests, "It's not impossible," while Lil Rose, white-haired, gently smiles, thinking it's impossible for Lisa, but that fighting brings people closer. Lil Rose, white-haired, looks pensive as a text bubble reads, but foreshadowing a serious revelation. A dark-haired man in a crown sits on a throne, telling a light-haired man in a gray suit and white cape, who stands before him, that he, quote, "can't do it." The light-haired man in the gray suit, looking distressed, denies having said such a thing. Emperor Edmund, dark-haired and crowned, sternly states they don't need useless, talkative people, as narrative text explains Tyrant Edmund hated being contradicted. Narrative text explains the rift between Emperor Edmund and the headstrong Lil Rose grew deeper, showing Lil Rose looking upset and then a depiction of Emperor Edmund with his back to her, and also how he only engaged in formal conversations with the obedient, silent puppet Princess Lissa. Narrative text reveals that their relationships are now completely different from the original story, as Lil Rose, white-haired, looks pensive, thinking how sad it is that despite being sisters originally, they end up with a cold relationship in the future, while small images show Lil Rose looking sad and Emperor Edmund searching for Lissa during their wedding night. Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, looks surprised as Lissa, blonde, pushes against him, continuing the thought about their cold future relationship. Narrative text explains that the original Lil Rose would constantly argue with the tyrant Edmund, and while she seemed fearless, she wasn't like that at all, with images of Lil Rose arguing with Edmund. Lil Rose, white-haired, looks stressed and screams. As narrative text explains, she wants to gather information for her father's sake, but fears her position will worsen if she can't handle magic beasts or stones, with images of a shadowy wolf and documents. Lil Rose, white-haired, looking distressed in a black and red dress, is revealed by narrative text to be pretending to be someone else to cover up her truth. Lil Rose's father, the white-haired man in a fur-trimmed cape, looks on seriously, as narrative text emphasizes his terrifying nature. Lil Rose, white-haired, lets out a soft ugh while in bed, looking concerned as the worried Lissa, blonde, and serious Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, observe her. Lil Rose, white-haired, looks surprised as chibi Lissa, blonde, peeks over, wondering if her princess is angry too. Lil Rose, white-haired, smiles gently, gesturing, as Lissa, blonde, snuggles next to her in bed. Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, states there are safer ways for Lady Lissa, as Lil Rose, white-haired, gestures towards objects on a table, asking if Lissa would like to try it together. Lissa, blonde, looks ecstatic, exclaiming her desire to participate, while Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, looks surprised and cautiously wonders if it's really safe. Lil Rose, white-haired, smiles, holding the happy Lissa, blonde, offering that Edmund can join them if he's worried. Lil Rose, white-haired, looks happy, asking if they'll do it together with her, then anticipates revealing what they'll use. Lil Rose presents a tray containing 2 containers, labeled paste and 2 sticks. Lil Rose, white-haired, smiles, proposing they start making it right away. Lissa, blonde, looks determined with paste on her face, making Lil Rose, white-haired, look surprised and exclaim, after a splat sound. Lil Rose, white-haired, looks surprised, holding a stick, as Lissa, blonde, with paste on her face, holds a ribbon, and Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, looks on in surprise. Lil Rose, white-haired, and Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, watch as Lissa, blonde, intently applies paste with a stick to a craft on the table. Lil Rose, white-haired, and Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, sit at a desk, watching the happy Lissa, blonde, busy with her craft. Lil Rose, white-haired, looks excited as Lissa, blonde, looks pleased, holding a completed mint green bow with pearls. Lil Rose, white-haired, enthusiastically holds the excited Lissa, blonde, who is holding a pink bow, exclaiming that it's really well done. Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, watches Lissa, blonde, who is snuggled against Lil Rose, white-haired. Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, looks serious while holding a small pink bow, thinking he can't believe it's Lissa's first time, as Lissa, blonde, looks up at him with a blush. Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, holds the mint green bow Lil Rose made, while Lissa, blonde, sits beside him. Lil Rose, white-haired, looks determined and annoyed, holding the mint green bow, thinking she would have made it perfectly if it weren't for a little girl doing it, while Lissa, blonde, looks surprised and Crown Prince Edmund, black-haired, observes. Lil Rose, white-haired, smiles, presenting the mint green ribbon as a gift to the surprised Lissa, blonde. Lissa, blonde, happily holds a small mirror, exclaiming how cute the ribbon is. Lissa, blonde, excitedly puts a ribbon in Lil Rose's white hair, who smiles gently, wondering if this is what it's like to have a real little sister. Lil Rose and Lissa share a happy moment while Crown Prince Edmund watches, holding a wrapped gift with an unvoiced thought. Lil Rose, wearing a pink bow, looks startled, declaring she doesn't need any ribbons, while a hand approaches her. Hands carefully adorn Lil Rose's white hair with a mint green bow. Then Crown Prince Edmund meticulously adjusts a pink one, leaving Lil Rose looking surprised. Hands carefully adjust the elaborate mint green bow, adorned with a gold chain, in Lil Rose's flowing white hair. Lil Rose looks surprised with a pink bow in her hair, as Crown Prince Edmund stands behind her, looking shocked, thinking about his own actions. Chibi Lil Rose looks flustered, Chibi Crown Prince Edmund seems annoyed, and Chibi Lisa happily snacks in a pink, bow-filled setting. Crown Prince Edmund gazes thoughtfully with a slight frown, a question mark hovering near his head, indicating confusion. Lil Rose looks shocked, and Lisa gazes up as Crown Prince Edmund, shadowed, states that he understands. Lil Rose reacts dramatically in surprise, questioning, "What is it this time?" As Crown Prince Edmund seriously adjusts the pink bow in her hair. Crown Prince Edmund peeks over Lil Rose's shoulder, identifying a magic ruby on her blue bow, but is promptly corrected, "That's not what I mean." Lisa excitedly exclaims how cute the bride is while holding ribbons, as Lil Rose looks surprised and flustered. Lisa happily peeks from behind a quiet Lil Rose, adorned with a mint green bow in her own hair. Lil Rose, adorned with two bows, looks pensive and slightly sad in profile. A hand gently touches an ornate table, while a thought expresses surprise at receiving a gift. The original Lil Rose is depicted amidst an ethereal blue, as narrative text reveals she never received a gift from her family, a sentiment echoed by Lil Rose's current memories. Lil Rose appears distressed, bound by ribbons and chains in a dark purple space, as narrative text states, two people's bewilderment swirls within her. Crown Prince Edmund, arms crossed, asks a worried Lil Rose if they should try activating something, while she looks apprehensive. Lil Rose looks pained, thinking about how she was taught not to use magic recklessly. Crown Prince Edmund looks intently, acknowledging with an understanding, "I see." A worried Lil Rose, adorned with two bows, sweats profusely while Crown Prince Edmund observes her from a distance, arms crossed. Lil Rose looks distressed, thinking how the mere thought of something makes her stomach churn. Lisa excitedly declares more ribbons would be cuter, making Lil Rose look surprised while Crown Prince Edmund watches, and someone asks Lisa to wait. Lil Rose looks both surprised and worried, as Lisa intently focuses on folding something amidst crafting supplies. Lisa is slumped over a table, appearing exhausted or asleep amidst scattered white flower decorations. Lisa, adorned in a white dress and veiled, stands against a glowing book in an ethereal blue realm, prompting a thought about why she became the doll princess. Two surprised maids, the brown-haired one noting it's about time, enter a room, perhaps after opening a door. The two maids express shock and admiration that Lisa is sitting so quietly with incredible focus, while Lil Rose observes in the background. Lil Rose makes a shushing gesture while Lisa remains slumped over, presumably asleep, amidst flowers. The two maids smile, arms crossed, the dark-haired maid acknowledging understood. The two maids gaze wide-eyed and slightly flushed, looking delighted as hearts and sparkles fill the background. A flustered Lil Rose tells everyone to stop staring at her ribbons, while Crown Prince Edmund observes, and the two maids smile in the background. Chibi Lisa cries loudly, clutching a pink ribbon in distress. The two maids, along with Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund, observe Lisa, as one maid exclaims, "No way, I'm still making it." Lil Rose gazes gently down at a sleeping Lisa, a soft smile on her face. Lil Rose embraces Lisa, who is clinging to her, as Lil Rose utters a surprised, "Eh?" Lil Rose holds Lisa, who cuddles against her, requesting, "Sleep with me, Lady Bride." Lil Rose looks flustered and utters a shocked, "Eh?" while Crown Prince Edmund observes seriously, and the two maids look surprised. In an opulent office, the dark-haired man at the desk reports a critical drop in magic gold mining output, with a downward trend accelerating annually. A hand writes with a quill detailing that the Crane ducal family's magic silver mining is thriving, even yielding magic diamonds. The dark-haired man in the ornate vest looks contemplative, concluding that the results more than compensate for the magic gold shortage. The dark-haired man at the desk discusses a lenient punishment for a family scandal, involving assignment to the Foreign Legion to retrain Valois directly. The dark-haired man looks thoughtfully, believing that unless the magic stone issue is resolved, the ducal family's selfishness cannot be curbed, with Lil Rose's father shown in the background. The light-haired man with green hair and glasses looks sternly, asking if that is the entire report. The green-haired man informs the annoyed, dark-haired man that the report on their majesties is pending, adding that he had requested an update on the children's conditions since the Oliver incident. The green-haired man hands a document to the dark-haired man at the desk, presenting, quote, today's report. The dark-haired man, holding the report, looks surprised and questions, Crown Princess? The dark-haired man looks thoughtful, holding the report and questioning, Crown Princess? While the green-haired man observes from behind. The green-haired man reports that, under the Crown Princess's guidance, Prince Edmund and Princess Lisa have been diligently making ribbons. The dark-haired man looks surprised and demands details on how Prince Edmund came to be making ribbons. Chibi panels illustrate Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, and Lisa crafting ribbons, while chibi versions of the dark-haired man and the green-haired man are presented with the situation, explaining, that is the situation. A report details the Crown Princess's impeccable sewing skills, noting there is much to be learned from her, and surprisingly, Crown Prince Edmund, who usually has no talent for handiwork, is carefully making similar items. The dark-haired man reads the report, concluding that he understands the situation. The report highlights that Crown Prince Edmund's talents extend beyond sword fighting, but no matter how brilliant, he could not manage everything, and the Crown Princess was involved this time too. The green-haired man with glasses states they must soon decide on a reward for the Crown Princess. The green-haired man continues, noting the Crown Princess recently prevented an injury to the princess, and suggests arranging a personal meeting with her and the children to understand House Crane's true intentions. The green-haired man with glasses warns the dark-haired man that if he pushes himself further, he too might collapse, just as the Empress did. The dark-haired man with yellow eyes looks thoughtfully, considering the warning. The dark-haired man with yellow eyes appears to be dozing off at his desk in a grand, spacious room as the green-haired man watches him. A close-up shows the dark-haired man with yellow eyes, fast asleep at his desk. The dark-haired man with yellow eyes, sitting at his desk, suddenly startles awake while the green-haired man observes him. The dark-haired man with yellow eyes instructs Jade to adjust the schedule, which the green-haired man acknowledges. The dark-haired man with yellow eyes reflects on being unable to see the children, or the Crown Princess for the time being. Lisa is sleeping peacefully in Lil Rose's arms, her face flushed with slumber. Lil Rose holds a deeply sleeping Lisa, as the brown-haired maid and the dark-haired maid gaze at them with concerned expressions. Lil Rose looks exasperated, with a chibi Lisa above her crying loudly and clinging to a pink ribbon. The brown-haired maid and the dark-haired maid smile, expressing their understanding of the situation. Chibi Lisa, holding a bear and a toy sword, animatedly declares she's not sleepy, startling Chibi Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, and the two maids. Crown Prince Edmund observes Lil Rose, who is holding a sleeping Lisa. Crown Prince Edmund, arms crossed, suggests that Lord Edmund, referring to himself, also rest with them. The brown-haired maid and the dark-haired maid gasp in surprise at Crown Prince Edmund's unexpected suggestion. Lil Rose looks flustered and shocked, sporting a pink bow in her hair. Crown Prince Edmund looks away, thinking it's impossible, as Lil Rose, holding the sleeping Lisa, feels dejected. Crown Prince Edmund looks intently at Lil Rose, who blushes and avoids his gaze. Lil Rose thinks that Crown Prince Edmund is as hard to read as ever, looking downcast. Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, and Lisa are all sleeping soundly together in a bed filled with various stuffed animals. Lil Rose stirs awake in bed, letting out a small sigh. Lil Rose, now awake, looks at the peacefully sleeping Crown Prince Edmund next to her, thinking that he is still asleep. Lil Rose, gently touching Lisa's head, asks the worried-looking Lisa what is wrong and if she is hurt. Lisa cries, clutching a worm toy, while Crown Prince Edmund continues to sleep next to her. Lil Rose looks kindly at Lisa, thinking Crown Prince Edmund is somehow a little cute. Lil Rose thinks that Lisa must have been surprised when the worm toy made a sound, causing her distress. Lil Rose gently replaces the worm toy with a plain, cylindrical pillow next to the sleeping Crown Prince Edmund. Lil Rose observes the sleeping Crown Prince Edmund, wondering if he doesn't like the new pillow she gave him, while Lisa peeks from behind her. Lil Rose, holding a sleeping Lisa, wonders if Crown Prince Edmund wants a different toy, like the one from before. Lil Rose looks up, a new idea dawning on her. Crown Prince Edmund, still asleep, grasps Lil Rose's hand, prompting her to think that it feels just right. Chibi Lisa is awake and happily bounces on the bed next to the sleeping Crown Prince Edmund. Lisa snuggles up close to the sleeping Crown Prince Edmund, resting her head against his. Lisa and Crown Prince Edmund sleep peacefully, embracing each other under the blankets, while Lil Rose watches over them. A close-up shows Lisa sweetly snuggled against the sleeping Crown Prince Edmund. Lil Rose smiles gently, observing the two children sleeping soundly together. Lisa clings to Lil Rose, looking wide-eyed and worried. A maid suggests that perhaps Lisa needs to be retaught what the word Crown Princess actually means, as Lil Rose holds a surprised and slightly exasperated Lisa in bed with Crown Prince Edmund. Lil Rose smiles warmly, holding an upset and loudly crying Lisa. Lil Rose looks surprised as a door, just opened by a maid, reveals a bright hallway. Lil Rose looks on in surprise as the maid rushes into the room with a startled expression. The brown-haired maid, wide-eyed and flustered, announces that she has a message from His Majesty. Lil Rose peers through an opening, looking intensely surprised and worried. No discernible visual content detected. Lil Rose looks utterly shocked, her eyes wide with surprise. The green-haired man with glasses formally declares that he has brought get-well gifts from the Emperor and Crown Prince and asks if he may bring them in, as Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, Lisa, and two maids listen. The brown-haired maid thanks the Chamberlain for his trouble, while a joyful Chibi Lisa excitedly calls out to Cheeto to come over here, much to the surprise of Crown Prince Edmund and a white-haired figure, presumably Lil Rose. The green-haired man with glasses respectfully greets the Crown Prince and Princess, while a wide-eyed Chibi Lil Rose wonders if the Chamberlain delivered the gifts himself. Lil Rose, with a small smile, explains that she is already feeling better, so the get-well gifts are a surprise, as Crown Prince Edmund and the green-haired man look on. Lil Rose forces a teary smile, thinking that the man absolutely won't leave until she accepts the gifts. Lil Rose accepts a sparkling gift box from the green-haired man, thanking him for his consideration, while Lisa and Crown Prince Edmund observe. Lil Rose's eyes widen with intense surprise and worry as she reacts to the gift. Lil Rose recognizes the gift as a magic stone and realizes its luster signifies it is magisteel, feeling overwhelmed that such a reward is far above her station. Lil Rose worries that using something so rare carelessly would lead to misunderstandings of her being selfish and wasteful, recalling that in the original story, her spending was a pretext for embezzlement. The green-haired man with glasses relays the Emperor's message that he will provide any necessary materials at any time, as Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, Lisa, the brown-haired maid, and another blonde woman listen. Lil Rose feels confused, wondering why they are being so kind to the troublesome Crown Princess who collapsed from poor health, unable to understand the Emperor's intentions. Lil Rose appears thoughtful and contemplative, gently touching her face. Lil Rose shares a warm, knowing smile with another white-haired woman. A narrative panel explains that magic stones are a symbol of power, and magisteel is a symbol of the Empire, alongside the imperial crest. Narrative panels describe the Golden Palace, a castle built by the previous emperor, featuring magisteel in every room. Lil Rose expresses her joy at being moved by the wonderful room that reminds her of home, and receiving beloved sewing tools and even magisteel, declaring she will treasure them. Crown Prince Edmund watches intently, arms crossed, while the brown-haired maid stands beside him. Lil Rose curtsies deeply, offering a heartfelt thank you very much. The green-haired man with glasses stands solemnly alongside another light-haired man, both observing the scene. A close-up shows a radiant, laughing Chibi Lisa, looking overjoyed. Lil Rose smiles gently, affectionately touching Lisa's head as the young princess giggles happily. The green-haired man with glasses assures Lil Rose that he will personally convey her gratitude to His Majesty. The green-haired man bows and departs from the grand hall, while Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, and Lissa wave farewell, observed by various maids. Lil Rose beams as Lissa enthusiastically bounces with joy, observed by a surprised Crown Prince Edmund and two wide-eyed maids. The brown-haired maid thinks that flaunting a gift from the Emperor might stir up resentment, as Lil Rose looks troubled, deep in thought. Lissa joyfully dances, being held up by a maid as Crown Prince Edmund and two other maids watch, surprised by her exuberance. Crown Prince Edmund insists that Lissa doesn't understand the complexities of the situation, while Chibi Lil Rose and the brown-haired maid listen. A cascade of sparkling gifts falls, symbolizing the abundant presents received by Chibi Lissa. A worried Chibi Lil Rose and brown-haired maid look on as Lissa envisions making friends with new people, surrounded by hearts and roses. Lil Rose contemplates what to make, considering that different people have different preferences, as a Chibi Crown Prince Edmund and Lissa watch her. Crown Prince Edmund looks surprised as Lissa holds up a patterned ribbon, while the dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid look on in shock. Chibi Lissa leaps with joy, surrounded by sparkles, as Crown Prince Edmund looks amused and Lil Rose smiles. A multi-panel montage depicts Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, and Lissa interacting cheerfully with various children and adults, surrounded by ribbons and gifts, symbolizing successful friendships. Lil Rose and Lissa smile radiantly, surrounded by wrapped presents, appearing joyful and accomplished. A grand door under a starry sky serves as a transition to a new scene or passage of time. The brown-haired maid, Manon, bids goodnight to a sleeping Lil Rose in her grand bedroom. Lil Rose startles awake in bed, her red eyes wide with surprise. Lil Rose sits up in her bed, looking pensive in the quiet room. Lil Rose gets out of bed and walks across her bedroom toward the furniture. Lil Rose kneels on the floor, clutching her foot in pain, with a large exclamation mark indicating distress. A hand applies a band-aid to Lil Rose's injured foot, and she thinks that she won't be discouraged by something like this. Lil Rose sits on the floor, determinedly smiling as she declares, "Operation Make Friends with Presents will begin." A promotional image for Violet Scans is shown, with Lil Rose sitting at a desk in her room, signifying a break in the narrative. Lil Rose's detailed plan to make friends with presents is displayed, showing various characters Lissa, Manon, Melez, Nicolette, Edmund, and their corresponding gifts, as Lil Rose thinks she has gathered information and decided who to give what to. Lil Rose diligently works at her desk, thinking that since she received the materials, it's essential to prepare something for the Emperor too. Lil Rose thinks that there's no deadline, so she will observe carefully and take her time. A close-up shows a lace dress, and Lil Rose's previous carefree thoughts are contrasted with a sudden, tightening feeling. Lil Rose's hand grasps at her dress, signifying a subtle shift in her situation or perception. Lil Rose stands in a new, elaborate dress, looking overwhelmed with books stacked on her head, while the dark-haired maid observes her, looking stern. Lil Rose looks tearful, lamenting that she can't even observe the Emperor and hardly gets to see Edmund, as a small chibi panel shows Edmund and Lissa sleeping during nap time. The dark-haired maid sternly reminds a tearful Lil Rose, who is balancing books on her head in an elaborate pink dress, that a crown princess must always smile. Lil Rose, with tears in her eyes, thinks the lessons are suffocating, and wishes she could observe the Emperor and see Edmund more, as a small panel shows Edmund and Lissa sleeping. Lissa cries and shouts that she doesn't want lessons, as she is brought in by unseen hands. Lissa struggles and cries, being held back by the dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid, as another person's back is seen in the foreground. The dark-haired maid stands sternly, holding a long, slender stick. A close-up reveals the dark-haired maid's resolute expression as she declares that one must take responsibility for tasks given. Lissa peeks over a table with a worried expression, while the dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid look tense and surprised. Lil Rose stands distressed, a book still on her head and another in her hand, as the dark-haired maid looms over her. Lil Rose thinks about the heavy, suffocating atmosphere. A flashback panel depicts Lil Rose pulling the hair of a purple-haired woman, while Lissa looks on distressed, recalling when Lil Rose harassed the heroine and Princess Lissa condemned her. Lil Rose, with her back to the blonde woman, flatly refuses to be with that woman. The blonde woman, with a knowing smile, thinks Lil Rose flatly refused and asks if the crown princess dislikes it that much. The light-haired maid looks shocked and saddened as she is told she no longer needs to come to court. The blonde woman angrily asks why someone would say something so outrageous, then declares that a negligent person, unable to guide or correct her inexperienced mistress, is unnecessary. Lil Rose looks distraught, blushing with wide, tearful red eyes, questioning if she is wrong. The dark-haired maid looks at a distressed Lissa while the brown-haired maid appears worried, thinking that Lissa must have endured similar punishment, unable to act freely. The dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid look horrified, as the dark-haired maid continues to think that Lisa would be kept from those she trusted most. The dark-haired maid with green eyes holds her stick and looks stern, pondering why Lisa became a puppet princess, beginning to say that one need not come to court anymore. Lil Rose looks utterly surprised, her mouth agape and eyes wide, holding a book to her chest. The dark-haired maid urgently tells Princess Lissa, who is observed by the brown-haired maid, "Let's go!" Lil Rose, seen from behind, asks the dark-haired maid about a promised meeting with His Majesty. Lil Rose smiles wryly, holding a stack of books, and asks if they intend to keep His Majesty waiting. The dark-haired maid looks worried, holding Lissa close to her side. The dark-haired maid sighs, her eyes closed, thinking that it's very... Lil Rose looks determined, thinking that this is only a temporary measure that buys her time to think of a solution. Lil Rose is seen from behind as Lisa excitedly runs towards her, observed by the dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid. Lil Rose looks cunningly sly, while Lisa peeks from below, as Lil Rose wonders exactly what this promised meeting with His Majesty entails. The dark-haired maid looks surprised as the chibi Lil Rose realizes she got it wrong and the meeting wasn't today after all. Lil Rose laughs heartily, pointing her thumb up, as the dark-haired maid listens intently. The dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid exchange surprised and worried glances. Lisa looks up with wide, surprised eyes. The brown-haired maid smiles, looking a little bashful. The dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid look surprised as Lil Rose approaches them. The dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid look wide-eyed and surprised, wondering if it's really true. A narrative panel displays various sewing materials and gifts, questioning how such abundant provisions could be given by an indifferent person, suggesting the emperor knows past events. Lisa looks up with wide, worried eyes. Lil Rose looks pensive and sad, with a small inset showing a glimpse of her past life. The dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid look surprised, realizing it had been 3 months since the emperor last met over Edmund's matter. Lil Rose looks surprised and slightly distressed, with her eyes wide open. Lil Rose leans down to speak to Lissa, saying, "More importantly, Princess Lissa," as the dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid listen. Lisa's eyes sparkle as she shouts, "Oh, right!" with a wide, joyful smile. Lisa, holding a watering can in a lush greenhouse, enthusiastically explains that these very rare flowers bloom only for 1 day, and she really wanted to show them to Father. Lissa looks surprised and distraught, covered in dirt with a small shovel, while the dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid react in shock. The dark-haired maid realizes this is why Lisa came, while the brown-haired maid had assumed she was just playing in the dirt. Lil Rose looks surprised and intrigued, her magenta eyes wide. Lisa, the dark-haired maid, and the brown-haired maid look wide-eyed and surprised, as a thought bubble exclaims, "That's perfect!" Lil Rose smiles cunningly, holding a finger to her lips, while Lisa looks curious, asking, "Huh? What's going on?" Lil Rose whispers something into Lisa's ear, making Lisa's eyes widen in surprise. Lil Rose smiles gently at a cheerful Lissa, who is surrounded by flowers, assuring her that this will make her feel even more cheerful. A tall, arched window looks out onto a starry night, while 2 coughs sound from behind a large stack of papers on a desk. Emperor Edmund, a tired-looking dark-haired man with green eyes in an elaborate blue and gold suit, sighs at his desk, thinking he still can't afford to rest today. A man, seen from behind, looks towards a grand doorway, as a voice from off-panel informs him that to see His Majesty, he must first obtain an audience permit. Lil Rose thinks she already submitted a request for an audience with His Majesty, But a chibi Lisa and chibi Lil Rose declare it's absurd to wait a whole month, while a chibi brown-haired man states it's impossible. Lil Rose then contemplates a new approach. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund looks up, surprised, as a voice asks if they can trouble him, and he thinks he was about to take a short break anyway. The pink dresses of Lisa and Lil Rose are seen as they approach a grand door, with Lil Rose thinking that if His Majesty is too busy, they'll simply go to him, acknowledging such an act would normally be selfish. Lil Rose and Lisa walk toward the dark-haired Emperor Edmund, with Lisa excitedly declaring she brought a present for father, and Lil Rose thinking she had prepared a secret plan for this. A promotional image displays a chibi purple-haired character offering up to 4,000 coins every 2 weeks, inviting users to join on Discord. Lil Rose holding a small decorative bag and Lisa holding a large bouquet of colorful flowers stand together, both wearing pink dresses. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund sits at his desk, diligently writing with a quill. Lisa smiles brightly with flushed cheeks, peeking over the enormous bouquet of flowers she's holding. Lil Rose, with a triumphant and sly smile, holds out the decorative bag, while a brown-haired man nervously thinks she used her villainous face to persuade him, and a chibi Lil Rose is shown. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund and the dark-haired man with glasses look at Lisa, who is hidden by the flowers, with the Emperor wondering if they are rare daisies. Lil Rose winks and gives a thumbs up with a wide smile, as a small panel shows a brown-haired man watering plants, a blonde girl looking distraught, and chibi versions of the Emperor and the man with glasses observing. Lisa's small, decorated shoes are visible as she approaches the Emperor's desk, with his legs seen behind it. Lisa's wide, earnest yellow eyes peek out from behind the large bouquet of flowers she holds. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund looks at the dark-haired man with glasses, who clarifies that Lisa is likely referring to the professor when she said, "Grandpa." Lisa, holding the bouquet, peeks from behind the Emperor's leg, extending her gift towards him. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund kneels to Lisa's height, smiling gently as she offers him the large bouquet of flowers. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund smiles warmly, addressing Lisa with a kind expression. Lisa looks up with wide, joyful eyes, her face flushed, as she stands behind the large bouquet of flowers. Lil Rose gently holds Lisa, who is burying her face in Lil Rose's dress, as Lil Rose thinks Lisa wanted to see His Majesty so badly. The Emperor accepts the bouquet from Lisa, while a white-haired hand, presumably Lil Rose's, offers him a small decorative bag, explaining it can hold dried flowers to preserve their scent. Lil Rose thinks about what the princess's wife said regarding giving a gift from the heart, contrasting it with her own previous idea of giving a simple, small bag. Lil Rose, Lisa, the dark-haired Emperor Edmund, and the dark-haired man with glasses stand together, and Lil Rose expresses gratitude to the Emperor for accepting the flowers. Lil Rose looks distressed, holding the small decorative bag, as she reacts to a thought bubble about not using any magic stones. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund smiles kindly, holding the large bouquet of flowers. Lil Rose and Lisa stand with the dark-haired man with glasses before the Emperor, as Lil Rose expresses happiness that His Majesty said that. Lil Rose thinks she deliberately avoided using a magic stone because it might have caused trouble, imagining the Emperor questioning her intentions. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund hands the bouquet of flowers to the dark-haired man with glasses, addressing him as Jade. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund observes Lil Rose and Lisa, with a close-up showing him handing the bouquet to the dark-haired man with glasses. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund looks at Lil Rose, who thanks him profusely. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund looks pensive, seemingly about to add a "but" to the conversation. Lil Rose apologizes to the Emperor, stating she believes he isn't getting enough rest, and that they disturbed him during his work. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund smiles as Lisa, blushing, and Lil Rose enthusiastically thank him for taking the time to see them. Lil Rose, seen in profile, contemplates the description of her as the villainess of the Klein family. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund holds the small decorative bag, thinking he must continue to observe Lil Rose for her true intentions, and if her innocence is genuine, past events would have been entirely different, as a pale purple-haired man looks on. The brown-haired maid and the dark-haired maid stand over a wide-eyed Lisa in bed, as the brown-haired maid notes how late it's gotten, and Lil Rose thinks she's happy and content that father was pleased with her. Lil Rose sleeps soundly in her grand bed, a small chibi figure on the bedside table within her elegantly appointed blue-toned bedroom. Lil Rose slowly awakens in her bed, her red eyes opening wide in the softly lit room. Lil Rose sits up in bed, looking pensive as she contemplates getting to today's tasks. Lil Rose, with a happy and determined expression, sits in bed holding a needle and thread, declaring her project to be the special Edmund Sleepwell goods. Lil Rose smiles slyly in profile, thinking she shouldn't get her hopes up. The dark-haired Emperor Edmund kneels, holding the bouquet of flowers with Lisa, as Lil Rose observes them, thinking they care for each other deeply yet are always at odds. A grand, ornate door, bathed in blue light, signifies a transition, as Lil Rose thinks it reminds her of something. The dark-haired woman from the previous life kneels to comfort the dark-haired boy in a messy kitchen, narrating that she took care of him due to their parents' neglect. The dark-haired woman from the previous life is shown in a multi-panel montage, working, studying, and doing housework, narrating that she had to protect her brother and be a good example, giving it her all. The dark-haired woman from the previous life lies hospitalized in bed, narrating that her body broke down, acknowledging that her attempts to manage everything were impossible. The dark-haired woman in the hospital bed looks at a distraught, dark-haired man, who thinks he never asked her to work for his sake, and she thinks this incident changed her brother. The dark-haired woman from the previous life stands apart as a dark-haired man helps her unwell younger brother, narrating that her brother pushed himself too hard, leading them to drift further apart despite their deep care. Lil Rose sits diligently sewing, narrating that she was at odds with her brother and her body was a wreck, concluding that nothing good ever came from pushing herself too hard. Lil Rose looks determinedly, her eyes focused, thinking she doesn't want the Emperor and Lisa to go through a similar experience to her own past. The Grand Palace building, with its many windows and intricate architecture, is bathed in bright sunlight. Lil Rose, with white hair and wide magenta eyes, smiles cheerfully, looking excited. Lil Rose sits at a desk in a blue-toned room, holding a black cat plushie, looking thoughtful. A decorative blue door with intricate patterns stands partially open, casting a soft glow. Lil Rose, wearing a blue dress, is seen from the waist down as she walks, thinking, "Morning!" Lil Rose, with white hair and magenta eyes, tiredly pulls at her shirt, thinking, "Heave-ho!" Lil Rose sleeps soundly, her white hair spread around her head, covered by a light-colored blanket. Lil Rose awakens suddenly, her magenta eyes wide and a distressed expression on her face. Lil Rose, in her room, sits up, thinking she only meant to nap but fell asleep and needs to get ready quickly. A teddy bear sits in a lavish room, as Lil Rose thinks she'll give her gift during his nap time today. Lil Rose's hands hold a black cat plushie, adorned with a pink ribbon, amidst a background of flowers. Lil Rose smiles gently, holding the black cat plushie, and tells Crown Prince Edmund he hasn't been sleeping well at night or during naps. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair and yellow eyes, looks intently at the white-haired Lil Rose. Crown Prince Edmund looks surprised as he accidentally rips the black cat plushie, causing stuffing to fall out, while Lil Rose exclaims, "Ah!" Crown Prince Edmund looks down at the ripped black cat plushie on the floor between him and the white-haired Lil Rose. Lil Rose, wearing a blue dress, looks surprised and slightly distressed, her magenta eyes wide. Lil Rose sadly looks down at the torn cat plushie, telling Crown Prince Edmund, "It seems it wasn't sewn properly." Lil Rose, with a concerned expression, addresses Crown Prince Edmund. Crown Prince Edmund holds the black cat plushie, looking surprised and a little upset. Lil Rose's magenta eye widens in distress, realizing her current actions might be unnecessary. Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund stand with the ripped plushie, while in a smaller panel below, a shocked Lisa looks in from the doorway, with maids behind her saying, "Don't fight." Crown Prince Edmund pulls Lisa close, blaming her for the situation, while Lil Rose is seen from behind. Lisa cries with wide, tear-filled yellow eyes, looking deeply distraught. The dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid bow apologetically as Lisa sobs on the floor, saying, "We are truly sorry." The dark-haired maid explains that Lisa was going to apologize as soon as Lil Rose woke up, but they kept missing each other, shown by a chibi Lisa at a door. Lil Rose, with wide magenta eyes, looks surprised as Lisa holds the black cat plushie and the maids watch. Crown Prince Edmund stands next to a crying Lisa, admitting it was his fault the plushie got damaged when he dropped it. Crown Prince Edmund looks at Lissa, who is still crying, and states that's not what he meant. Lil Rose is seen from behind, while Crown Prince Edmund and a distraught Lissa look on, with the dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid looking concerned in the background. Lil Rose, with a determined expression and magenta eyes, holds the black cat plushie, declaring she will fix it. Crown Prince Edmund and Lissa look shocked as Lil Rose argues against his claim, saying he won't get away with it. Lil Rose, in a chibi thought bubble, explains she added a hidden pocket to the stuffed animal for a big, cool scented sachet or a hot water bottle on cold days. Lil Rose approaches Crown Prince Edmund, Lissa, and the maids, telling them she will fix it up a bit, making Lissa look surprised. Lil Rose thinks Crown Prince Edmund is not taking responsibility, while he considers that fixing it now would remove his excuse for sleeping with Lil Rose, as they both have dramatic internal thoughts. Crown Prince Edmund and Lil Rose look at each other intensely, both holding the cat plushie, as Lissa watches, caught in the middle of their argument. Lil Rose thinks Crown Prince Edmund is acting childish and that she should settle things, while Crown Prince Edmund looks on, pensive. Crown Prince Edmund, with closed eyes, smiles gently as he holds the cat plushie. The green-haired man scolds a crying Lissa, telling her she shouldn't touch other people's things without permission, as the maids watch. Lil Rose smiles gently, holding the cat plushie, thinking how truly kind her siblings are, and being by their side makes her feel kinder too. Lil Rose contemplates that if she can continue to reduce misunderstandings, she might prevent Crown Prince Edmund and Lissa from turning into tyrants, as she sees them as adults in a thought bubble. Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, and Lissa are shown from behind, holding hands and dancing together in a field of flowers, symbolizing harmony. Lil Rose smiles gently with closed eyes, a soft expression on her face. Lil Rose is surprised as chibi Lissa joyfully hugs the black cat plushie, surrounded by cheerful sound effects. Lil Rose, Crown Prince Edmund, and Lissa stand together, with Lil Rose expressing concern about a reprieve, while Crown Prince Edmund looks on. Crown Prince Edmund looks thoughtful in profile, with Lissa and the cat plushie just above him. Crown Prince Edmund looks forward with a stern expression, a chibi Lissa with an exclamation mark above her head. Lil Rose gently approaches Crown Prince Edmund and Lissa, who hugs the plushie, as Crown Prince Edmund thinks about a nap while hugging his bride. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair and yellow eyes, looks determined, stating that in exchange, he gets to sleep with Lil Rose. Lil Rose and Lissa stand, Lissa still hugging the cat plushie, as Lil Rose looks at Crown Prince Edmund, who thinks he gets to sleep with Lil Rose. Lil Rose, with her back to the viewer, stands with Lissa next to Crown Prince Edmund, while the two maids observe them. The blonde-haired Lissa, clutching the black cat plushie, blushes and suggests the white-haired Lil Rose is the better choice for Crown Prince Edmund, as the dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid behind her gasp in shock. The blonde-haired Lissa, hugging the black cat plushie, excitedly asks, "Really?" While the white-haired Lil Rose looks down, and the dark-haired Crown Prince Edmund from behind asks, "Eh?" Lil Rose's magenta eyes widen in distress, framed by her white hair, as she reacts with a shocked and sweaty, "Eh?" The dark-haired Crown Prince Edmund stands looking at the blonde-haired Lissa, who hugs the black cat plushie and looks up at the partially visible white-haired Lil Rose. The dark-haired Crown Prince Edmund looks bewildered, wondering how this situation came about, while thought bubbles show chibi Lil Rose understanding and chibi Edmund remaining confused about the plushie and Lil Rose. The white-haired Lil Rose declares she definitely won't say anything unnecessary, showing a mix of bewilderment and curiosity to the dark-haired Crown Prince Edmund. The dark-haired Crown Prince Edmund turns his head away, looking pensive in profile, leaving Lil Rose to her thoughts. Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund are seen lying in a grand bed within a blue-lit room as Lil Rose thinks it's time for them to sleep. Crown Prince Edmund lies asleep next to the white-haired Lil Rose in bed, and she thinks he is right that they should get some sleep now that the maids have gone home. Lil Rose looks nervous with wide magenta eyes in bed, asking Crown Prince Edmund what he wants to say. Crown Prince Edmund gently touches Lil Rose's face, explaining that tonight she is a replacement for the doll. Lil Rose looks down with wide, distressed magenta eyes, her expression concerned. Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund lie in bed, holding hands, as Lil Rose looks up with wide, surprised magenta eyes. Lil Rose looks at the dark-haired Crown Prince Edmund, thinking that holding hands while sleeping feels strangely unsettling and that her hand is sweating. Crown Prince Edmund sleeps peacefully, and Lil Rose observes him, thinking he has an adorable sleeping face. Lil Rose compares this night's sleep to last night, finding it much better, then decides that if Crown Prince Edmund can sleep well, it doesn't matter, though she still mentally rejects an embarrassing scenario involving him and the black cat plushie. A beautiful, flowery scene depicts a dark-haired man in military attire kneeling to a brown-haired woman in a flowing dress, holding her hand, suggesting a romantic, idealized memory or vision. Lil Rose smiles gently while lying in bed, thinking that Crown Prince Edmund's presence has helped her avoid nightmares. Crown Prince Edmund looks at Lil Rose with wide, surprised yellow eyes in bed, reacting to something she just did or said. Lil Rose, with wide magenta eyes, sits up in bed, looking at Crown Prince Edmund and asking what the matter is. Lil Rose asks Crown Prince Edmund if she can ask him something, then questions if all his recent actions are for her to sleep well. Lil Rose, lying in bed, confirms that she supposes so, adding that she just wants him to get some rest as soon as possible. Crown Prince Edmund lies in bed with his eyes closed, asking Lil Rose why she is doing that for him. Lil Rose, with wide, worried magenta eyes, asks Crown Prince Edmund what he means and if she is troubling him. Crown Prince Edmund looks up, eyes open, stating he is just curious. Crown Prince Edmund explains that their marriage is a political and complicated one, which caused him to be cold to her. In a dreamlike sequence, Lil Rose in a wedding dress floats above Crown Prince Edmund, who thinks she still asked him to be her friend. Crown Prince Edmund lies in bed, eyes open, expressing his confusion about how Lil Rose's mind works. While Lil Rose looks thoughtfully beside him, Crown Prince Edmund asks Lil Rose what is so funny, as she lies in bed covering her face, giggling softly. Crown Prince Edmund looks at Lil Rose with wide eyes, expressing his happiness that they can finally talk honestly. Lil Rose, holding Crown Prince Edmund's hand in bed, explains her desire to be happy, and how she wouldn't be happy if the person beside her was suffering. Lil Rose lies in bed, thinking it's ridiculous to hope everyone is happy and wondering if she's just being selfish, while Crown Prince Edmund watches her. Crown Prince Edmund looks surprised at Lil Rose, who is distressed and thinks, "Oh no," before apologizing for saying something unfitting for a crown princess. Crown Prince Edmund leans in to kiss Lil Rose's forehead, reassuring her that he doesn't mind and believes she was waiting for them to open up to each other. Lil Rose smiles gently, eyes closed, and expresses her thanks to Crown Prince Edmund. Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund lie in bed, as Lil Rose shares her wish to get to know him better to be happy together, suggesting they could still be best friends even if they don't love like other married couples. Crown Prince Edmund looks thoughtful in bed, questioning the idea of a married couple being best friends, then finds it interesting, wondering if this would backstab the Klein family, as Lil Rose is seen below in thought. Crown Prince Edmund holds Lil Rose's hand in bed, explaining that their respective positions will inevitably create things they cannot confide in each other in the future. Lil Rose looks at Crown Prince Edmund with a gentle smile, assuring him she won't lie because she doesn't want to betray her precious friends or family. Crown Prince Edmund looks at Lil Rose with wide, surprised yellow eyes. Crown Prince Edmund looks at Lil Rose in bed, stating he now understands her way of thinking. Crown Prince Edmund promises Lil Rose that he also won't lie and will get stronger to protect everyone, concluding his statement by looking at her. Lil Rose looks at Crown Prince Edmund, holding his hand in bed, and thanks him. In their room, Crown Prince Edmund suggests they do the promised good luck charm now that they have the chance, and Lil Rose asks about it. Lil Rose demonstrates how to intertwine pinky fingers and explains they will chant the words of the charm together. Lil Rose, with a wide smile, makes a pinky promise with Crown Prince Edmund, playfully warning him that he will be punished if he lies and must swallow needles, which makes him look distressed, finding it dangerous. Lil Rose, lying in bed with Crown Prince Edmund, clarifies that he won't literally swallow needles if he lies, as it's just part of the charm, then suggests a different version of the charm. Crown Prince Edmund smiles gently at Lil Rose, finding her alternative suggestion interesting. Crown Prince Edmund and Lil Rose sit in bed, doing a pinky promise, as he asks if they should proceed with the charm, and she agrees, initiating the pinky promise chant. Lil Rose, lying in bed with Crown Prince Edmund, Pinky swears and warns of consequences if he lies. Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund Pinky swear, with Lil Rose declaring she will apologize in front of Lisa if he lies. Lil Rose thinks Lisa would be very angry if she lied, while Crown Prince Edmund resolves to keep his promise to avoid Lisa's anger. Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund sit contentedly in bed, both smiling gently after making their pinky promise. Crown Prince Edmund looks forward with a subtle, gentle smile. Lil Rose looks surprised, her magenta eyes wide as an exclamation mark appears next to her. Lil Rose and Crown Prince Edmund sleep soundly in bed, holding hands, with Lil Rose sending a silent, "Good night, Prince Edmund." The setting shifts to the grand house of Duke Klein, under a clear, starry night sky. James's father, a white-haired man with green eyes in formal attire, asks about the preparations for next month's spring garden party. James's father confirms the spring garden party preparations are smooth and states the Klein family is in charge of this important court event as other white-haired men are seen dining. A white-haired man with magenta eyes confidently says, "Of course," while James, a white-haired man with green eyes, is seen eating. The white-haired man with magenta eyes thinks confidently that someone won't make a mistake, even with night duties. James's father looks at the viewer with a slight smirk, thinking he won't have a role to play this time. A thought reflects on past busy times with Lil Rose, leaving no spare moments as a hand cuts food, contrasted with the memory of a light-haired woman and white-haired man. James's father sits attentively at the table as a hand cuts food in the foreground. A chibi Lisa, holding a honey jar, shares that Princess Lisa will attend the garden party, observing her youth and energetic nature. James's father asks James, a white-haired man with green eyes, who looks surprised, to be Princess Lisa's attendant. James smiles yet internally questions if he's suited for such a great responsibility, expecting little credit for it. James looks wide-eyed and surprised, a piece of food still on his fork. James's father asserts that it would be disrespectful to attempt to stop the princess's actions, as James and the white-haired man with magenta eyes look on. James's father smiles subtly, proposing they simply follow formal procedures. James appears distressed and surprised, with an exclamation mark as the white-haired man with magenta eyes watches. The white-haired man with magenta eyes realizes the intention is to use the selfish princess to enhance the royal family's image. James looks determined, stating he will take charge of Princess Lisa and make it the best garden party for the Klein family, addressing James's father. Lil Rose sits at a table, displaying a surprised and slightly worried expression. Lil Rose thinks she wants Lisa to learn proper greetings before the party, a thought that makes the dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid gasp in shock. A chibi Lisa gleefully eats a berry tart, surrounded by moo sound effects, getting food on her face and dress. As Lisa messily eats, the maids comment she can now attend manners lessons. But Lil Rose thinks Lisa's current state makes attending the garden party impossible. Lil Rose, looking concerned, explains that, while she understands their feelings, forcing Lisa would make her dislike lessons again and be counterproductive after her recent positive progress. A narrative panel describes the Spring Garden Party as one of the Empire's 4 major court events. The image depicts the traditional Spring Garden Party, where royalty and nobility gather to socialize in the royal family's cherished garden. Lil Rose stands alone in a grand hall, wearing a deep purple dress with large, regal banners adorning the wall behind her. The narrative explains that in the original story, Lil Rose suffered greatly each year, caught between the royal family and the Klein family. Lil Rose looks distressed at the dining table, poking her food, thinking she's facing pressure from 2 sources, her father and another, visualized as chibi versions of James and the white-haired man with magenta eyes. Crown Prince Edmund stands by a doorway, looking worried, as a chibi Lil Rose expresses gratitude for his morning training in a thought bubble. Crown Prince Edmund sits at a dining table and quietly acknowledges a compliment about his wonderful training. Lisa excitedly proclaims she will sleep with the princess, eliciting a surprised, "Huh!" from Crown Prince Edmund, while a black cat plushie rests on a plate nearby. Lil Rose smiles gently at Lisa, who is eating a tart, as Lil Rose internally reflects on her own busy schedule. Crown Prince Edmund looks surprised at the dining table, with Lil Rose and Lisa partially visible nearby. Crown Prince Edmund looks determinedly forward, declaring that Lil Rose and Lisa cannot sleep together, just the two of them. Lil Rose and Lisa both react with wide-eyed shock, Lisa still having food on her face. Crown Prince Edmund calmly eats, with Lisa in the background, as his interrupted dialogue continues. Crown Prince Edmund declares there's no rule preventing one from sleeping with someone other than their spouse, or so he believes, which shocks Lil Rose, Lisa, and the maids. The dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid smile, stating they can only obey, as Lil Rose appears overwhelmed and looks away. Lil Rose thinks she must change the subject as Lisa continues to eat noisily and messily. Amidst general praise for his skyrocketing academic reputation, Crown Prince Edmund, looking thoughtful, humbly says he's been doing well, thanks to him. Lil Rose giggles happily, thinking, "I'm so glad," while a miserable Lisa sits at the table with the dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid looking on. A loud "hey" sounds as Lil Rose smiles gently, while a crying Lisa thinks their plan didn't work. With Lisa still crying, one of the maids gently asks if Princess Lisa will now also do her best in her studies. Lisa, with blonde hair and yellow bows, expresses with wide-eyed excitement that she will absolutely do her best. Lil Rose, with white hair and magenta eyes, looks thoughtful and concerned. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks distressed while holding a wooden sword, as Crown Prince Edmund guides her grip from behind, and Lisa playfully wields her own sword in the background, making Lil Rose wonder why she is stuck doing this too. Lil Rose struggles to grip the wooden sword, while Crown Prince Edmund guides her, as Lisa joyfully swings her own sword, and the dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid look distressed. Crown Prince Edmund looks flustered, with Lil Rose looking unhappy next to him, as Lisa continues to joyfully swing her sword behind them, observed by several men. The scene is cast in an ominous purple light, with Crown Prince Edmund's intense, glowing yellow eyes in the foreground, while Lil Rose, Lisa, Crown Prince Edmund, and two men are faintly visible in the background. Captain Georg, a blue-haired man with a beard, smirks confidently as he places his hand on his chin, observing with a subtle smile as two young men in the background look flustered. Captain Georg, identified as the captain of the Emerald Knights, smiles confidently, resting his hand on his chin. Captain Georg stands with a thoughtful expression, adjusting his collar, as other men with swords are visible behind him. Captain Georg looks disappointed, thinking that despite the enthusiasm, the knights don't feel very knightly. Crown Prince Edmund and Lil Rose stand with serious expressions, as Lil Rose thinks that the knights seem a bit unreliable. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair and yellow eyes, looks over his shoulder and tells Lil Rose to just watch his training for now. Lil Rose, with white hair and magenta eyes, expresses excitement, covering her mouth with her hands, as Crown Prince Edmund stands stoically beside her. Lil Rose looks distressed, covering her ears, as Lisa playfully runs with a wooden sword, and the dark-haired maid and brown-haired maid chase after her, pleading for her to stop. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks utterly overwhelmed, covering her face and making an exasperated sound, while Crown Prince Edmund stands calmly beside her. Captain Georg, a blue-haired man, stands with other knights, while a blonde-haired boy thinks that some of the participants are just kids. Lil Rose looks thoughtful, her magenta eyes wide, as she comments that these new knights are small and slender. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, faces a blonde-haired man holding a wooden sword, who confidently declares he's coming for him, initiating a sparring match. The blonde-haired man swings his wooden sword downwards with a surprised expression, while Crown Prince Edmund watches him with sharp, yellow eyes, ready to counter. Two wooden swords loudly clash in midair, indicating the intensity of the sparring match. Crown Prince Edmund skillfully parries the blonde-haired man's attack, sending his sword spinning away, leaving the man wide-eyed and stunned. Crown Prince Edmund swiftly disarms the blonde-haired man, who recoils in fear as Crown Prince Edmund positions himself with a raised sword, effectively winning the bout. Crown Prince Edmund looks back with a focused expression, holding his wooden sword, while the blonde-haired man lies defeated on the ground. A new blonde-haired man, looking distressed, swings his wooden sword, making a sound of effort, as Crown Prince Edmund's chibi head appears at the bottom, calmly saying, "Next." Another new blonde-haired man lies on the ground, defeated and exclaiming in pain, while Crown Prince Edmund's chibi head at the bottom calmly states, "I can still go." Crown Prince Edmund continues to spar, his wooden sword raised, with Lissa watching intently and Lil Rose, the dark-haired maid, and brown-haired maid observing from a distance. Lil Rose looks thoughtful with a slight smile, commenting that she understands. Crown Prince Edmund, along with several other young men, practices sword fighting, as a thought bubble reveals that he can memorize moves just by looking once, and has had many sparring partners. Lil Rose watches intently as Crown Prince Edmund spars with a blue-haired man, but thinks that Lisa's playful sword-wielding is not useful as a reference at all. Crown Prince Edmund expertly blocks the blue-haired man's attack, their wooden swords crossed in a tense standoff. Captain Georg, the blue-haired man, observes Crown Prince Edmund with an impressed expression, commenting, "As expected." Crown Prince Edmund looks up at Captain Georg, appearing slightly surprised. Crown Prince Edmund looks forward with a determined expression, thinking he wants to become strong. Lil Rose smiles gently at Lissa, who joyfully chats with her. Captain Georg, the blue-haired man, looks thoughtful, rubbing his chin as he says, Oh, I see," to Crown Prince Edmund. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, swiftly attacks the blue-haired Captain Georg, who seems to react quickly to the boy's movement. Lil Rose and Lissa both look wide-eyed and surprised at the intensity of the sparring. A promotional notice states that Chapter 21 is available on Sirenscans.com, urging readers to support their work, and displays the title, "I'm the wife of a tyrant family." But isn't this obsession wrong? Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, looks focused as he parries a swift attack from Captain Georg, who is mostly obscured. Captain Georg, the blue-haired man, is knocked off his feet by Crown Prince Edmund, falling dramatically as his opponent's legs are visible above him. Crown Prince Edmund winks confidently, wiping his nose after successfully defeating Captain Georg. Crown Prince Edmund looks up at Captain Georg, who stands over him, having caught him mid-move. Captain Georg, the blue-haired man, holds Crown Prince Edmund by the armpits, lifting him effortlessly as Crown Prince Edmund, with wide, surprised eyes, gasps. Captain Georg, the blue-haired man, holds Crown Prince Edmund in the air, his wooden sword lying on the ground, highlighting the difference in their strength. Captain Georg, the blue-haired man, tells Crown Prince Edmund, whom he is holding, to forget his movements, because if he forces his body before it's ready, he will break it, noting that even other knights avoid pushing themselves with high-strain techniques. Lil Rose watches with a serious expression, and Lissa stands beside her as Captain Georg's leg and boot are visible in the foreground, underscoring his presence. Lil Rose looks thoughtful, thinking that Captain Georg not only recognizes Edmund's talent, but also understands how to guide him. Captain Georg, the blue-haired man, gently places Crown Prince Edmund on the ground, who then looks down, appearing to be in deep thought. Captain Georg, the blue-haired man, rests his hand on his hip and tells Crown Prince Edmund to rest a little, then do basic drills. Lil Rose and Lissa watch as Captain Georg and Crown Prince Edmund walk away, continuing their training session. Blonde-haired Lissa, looking worried with a sweat drop, peeks around a curtain. A hand gently pats blonde-haired Lissa's head, who closes her eyes and smiles. Lil Rose, with white hair and magenta eyes, winks and gives a thumbs up, holding a large bowl of lemon slices, as the brown-haired maid behind her smiles broadly. Lil Rose, with white hair, and Lissa, with blonde hair, both give thumbs up, with Lissa excitedly speaking while holding a small wooden sword, as the brown-haired maid smiles nearby. Lil Rose, holding a decorative box and a sword, walks forward while Lissa, wielding a sword, excitedly runs behind her amidst laughing maids as the back of Crown Prince Edmund's head is visible. Lil Rose, with white hair and magenta eyes, blushes and smiles while holding a bowl of lemon tart slices, thinking they are easier to eat, as Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, watches her. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair and yellow eyes, looks up at Lil Rose with a thoughtful expression. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, eats a lemon tart slice, holding the decorative box, as Lil Rose, with white hair, watches him in a grand hall. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, eats another lemon tart slice as Lil Rose, with white hair and magenta eyes, smiles warmly at him, holding the decorative box. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks away with a slight smile, her hand resting on a book she is holding. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, reaches out and gently touches Lil Rose's arm, who looks at him with wide magenta eyes. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, leans in close to Lil Rose, who looks down with a distressed expression. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair and yellow eyes, looks forward with a worried expression. Crown Prince Edmund's hand gently pulls on Lil Rose's ornate sleeve. Crown Prince Edmund, with black hair, speaks to Lil Rose, who looks at him with wide magenta eyes as he holds her sleeve. Lil Rose, with white hair, hands a treat to Crown Prince Edmund, who is holding another, as two other men watch intently. Lil Rose, with white hair, holds a bowl of lemon tart slices, looking down, while several knights and maids look on with intrigue. Lil Rose, with white hair, holds out the bowl of lemon tart slices with a determined, purple-eyed expression, encouraging everyone to eat for faster recovery, as two young men look on, shocked. Lil Rose, with white hair, offers food to the blue-haired Captain Georg, who raises a hand as if declining, while two young men eagerly take treats from her. Captain Georg, the blue-haired man, tastes a treat with a satisfied smile, while the young men behind him look on with anticipation. Lil Rose, with white hair, carries the bowl of treats towards Captain Georg, while Lissa excitedly runs by with a sword, speaking to him. Captain Georg, the blue-haired man, looks down at blonde-haired Lisa, who expresses admiration for his amazing flexibility. Blonde-haired Lisa, with wide, excited eyes, asks Captain Georg if he is super flexible while holding her wooden sword. Captain Georg, the blue-haired man, rubs the back of his neck as Lisa excitedly declares she wants to spar with Uncle too, while the dark-haired and brown-haired maids look distressed. Lissa, in chibi form, throws a tantrum, crying and asking why, complaining about Brother Edmund studying fun things as Captain Georg looks thoughtful. Blonde-haired Lissa sits on the ground crying, comforted by the distressed, dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid. Lil Rose, with white hair and magenta eyes, smiles gently while holding a book. A blonde-haired woman with a purple bow thinks that letting Lisa study her interests might help her become a perfect lady faster. Lil Rose, with white hair, gently offers the decorative box to a crying blonde-haired Lisa, asking her not to cry, while Lissa cries, "But why?" Blonde-haired Lissa looks up with tearful, wide yellow eyes. Lil Rose, with white hair and magenta eyes, smiles kindly holding the covered decorative box and asks if Lissa doesn't want to hear it. The green-haired woman with glasses, looking exhausted and stressed, clutches a pen, while plush toys named Henri and Annie are visible in the background. Lil Rose, with white hair, and Lisa, with blonde hair, both cheerfully pose with books balanced on their heads, Lil Rose thinking about enjoying their lessons. A large black cat plushie named Nero holds a snake plushie named Josephine, while Lil Rose thinks they are all quiet and well-behaved, as the green-haired woman with glasses looks on thoughtfully. The green-haired woman with glasses glances suspiciously at Lil Rose and Lisa in the background, who are carrying books on their heads, as three maids stand nearby. The green-haired woman with glasses looks sternly while thinking about what the lady-in-waiting, Lil Rose, is doing, as three maids below her look shocked and distressed. Lil Rose and Lisa, both with books on their heads, stand cheerfully in the background, as the green-haired woman with glasses looks down, deep in thought, holding a pen. The green-haired woman with glasses thinks about threatening Lil Rose with the Crane family's name if push comes to shove, and states she was contacted regarding another matter. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks distressed, with books on her head, as she processes a thought bubble showing 2 lesson options and wonders if her other proposal was rejected. The dark-haired woman with glasses stands with books on her head next to Lil Rose, stating she is in no position to make that judgment. Lil Rose, dressed in pink, is seen from the chest down, as a thought bubble asks, "Is that empty shell Empress, right?" A faceless, blonde-haired Empress sits on a throne, bathed in light and surrounded by flowers. As text explains, she was originally known as a beautiful, gentle, and wise empress. Text explains that after an accident with Edgar, who died in the Crown Prince's kidnapping incident, a distressed, blonde-haired woman is shown. Text narrates that she suffered a severe injury, making her unable to walk or perform duties, and her heart fell ill, becoming known as the Empty Shell Empress, as a wheelchair is shown. Text states she is currently at a hot spring in the Holy Lands for treatment, as a blonde-haired woman with long hair floats upside down in a serene, water-like setting. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks distressed, with books on her head, thinking she couldn't speak to the Empress at the wedding, while text states the Empress returns a week before the garden party. Lil Rose, with white hair and magenta eyes, looks worried with books on her head, thinking the incident that led to Lisa becoming the doll princess might happen. A text box states that Rissa completely shut herself off, turning her into the doll princess. Lil Rose, with white hair, looks worried, thinking she can't be relaxed and has no time to negotiate lessons or find a mana stone, as Lisa, with blonde hair, gasps in surprise, asking if that's also when new lessons start. Blonde-haired Lisa, with books on her head, cries in distress, while the dark-haired maid, the brown-haired maid, and another light brown-haired maid also look shocked and worried. Crown Princess Lil Rose praises Rissa, who looks excited and surprised, balancing books on her head with a penguin plushie nearby. Nero, the black cat plushie, expresses a desire to greet people like Sir Boric. Rissa shouts excitedly, thinking Nero's voice is much deeper and asking for another try. Rissa beams happily with clasped hands as the dark-haired, brown-haired, and light brown-haired maids look on with amusement. Crown Princess Lil Rose smiles, relieved that Rissa is now in a better mood. A thought bubble suggests the garden party incident and additional lesson content might be related, pictured with a sword and roses. Rissa holds 2 plushies amidst the green-haired woman with glasses and 3 maids, while a thought bubble questions if Rissa's previous incident was truly just selfishness. Crown Princess Lil Rose smiles warmly, holding the black cat plushie, Nero, beside a cheerful Rissa. Crown Princess Lil Rose, Rissa, and 3 maids stand before the purple-haired woman, who states she will first consult the head lady-in-waiting, receiving a grateful thanks. Crown Princess Lil Rose laughs, spilling tea from her cup, as Rissa calmly sips her own tea surrounded by plush toys. The dark-haired maid and the brown-haired maid excitedly hold up a teddy bear and a bunny, as a pensive Rissa sips her tea. The dark-haired maid, holding a bunny and a snake plushie, and the brown-haired maid, holding the black cat plushie, look distressed as a bubble suggests a preference for the lady bride or Manon. Crown Princess Lil Rose peeks from behind a door, looking worried as she asks what happened. Crown Princess Lil Rose looks down a long, brightly lit grand hallway where 2 maids are visible in the distance. Cupcakes fly as the purple-haired maid appears shocked, while another maid's internal thought suggests she is slow and not suited to be a lady's maid, urging her to quit. The purple-haired maid faces Manon, the brown-haired maid, who looks distressed and holds her hands together. The purple-haired maid smiles, implying the brown-haired maid's current position comes with considerable benefits. The purple-haired maid questions Manon, the brown-haired maid, asking if she truly believes she is more suited to be the crown princess's maid, more than herself. Manon, the brown-haired maid, thinks she cannot abandon her duties midway, as scattered pastries litter the red carpet. Crown Princess Lil Rose looks down with a concerned expression, asking if that is Manon. The purple-haired maid raises her hand in anger, calling Manon impudent, while Manon looks frightened. Crown Princess Lil Rose looks on in shock, clinging to a pillar. Crown Princess Lil Rose looks shocked, internally lamenting that the purple-haired maid constantly complains, and she cannot stand by while Manon is in trouble, preparing to move. Crown Princess Lil Rose looks distressed, her face partially obscured by her white hair. Crown Princess Lil Rose rushes forward, pushing the purple-haired maid, telling her to stop it, as Manon looks on in shock. Crown Princess Lil Rose looks up from the floor with a determined, wide-eyed expression. The purple-haired maid is knocked backward by Crown Princess Lil Rose, who is on the ground, while Manon looks on in shock, exclaiming, What? Manon looks back in shock, while the purple-haired maid also appears surprised, as Manon cries out, Lady Lil Rose! Crown Princess Lil Rose sits on the red carpet, comforted by Manon, while the purple-haired maid looks on with a distressed expression as Crown Princess Lil Rose mutters. The purple-haired maid thinks anxiously, wondering what she should do and if she will be killed too. The purple-haired maid, lying on the ground, thinks she never imagined the Crown Princess would jump out at her, as Manon looks worriedly at her. Crown Princess Lil Rose addresses the purple-haired maid, noting her talent, then questioning why she pushed Manon and threatening punishment. Crown Princess Lil Rose, with white hair and magenta eyes, proposes a fair examination with the head lady-in-waiting present. A bright, ornate garden area filled with arched rose trellises is bathed in sunlight. Crown Princess Lil Rose, addressing a line of maids, including the purple-haired maid, announces herself as the Crown Princess, while Rissa looks on excitedly. Crown Princess Lil Rose, with white hair and magenta eyes, crosses her arms, looking serious and determined. The gray-haired head maid stands beside Crown Princess Lil Rose, holding a paper, stating that the exam contents and evaluation standards are outlined within. The gray-haired head maid looks forward with a stern, focused expression. The gray-haired head maid, holding papers, informs them it's a busy season and asks to keep the proceedings brief. The gray-haired head maid reads from the papers, addressing the maids, while Crown Princess Lil Rose insists on completely fair judging. The purple-haired maid smiles slyly, thinking about Manon, realizing she is the head maid's daughter. The gray-haired head maid instructs Crown Princess Lil Rose to address her as head maid while at work, causing Crown Princess Lil Rose to look shocked. Crown Princess Lil Rose looks disgruntled as the gray-haired head maid suggests proceeding with the exam as planned, considering Rissa's situation, and Crown Princess Lil Rose implores for fairness. The gray-haired head maid stands with her hands on her hips, addressing the maids in the garden, with Crown Princess Lil Rose and Rissa in the background. The purple-haired maid asks a question, then is told that this location is the most efficient spot. The ornate garden with its golden arches and abundant roses is shown with a tiny, floating chibi Lil Rose figure at the top. A hand gently holds a bouquet of herbs, and text announces that the first test is herb selection. The purple-haired maid holds up a sprig of herbs while Crown Princess Lil Rose and Manon look on with smiles. Rissa, the blonde-haired girl, smiles brightly and raises her arm in triumph, holding a large bouquet of herbs. Maids, including Manon and the purple-haired maid, hold up signs labeled herb or weed, as Rissa looks surprised, holding a sprig. The green-haired woman with glasses holds up a sprig of flowers, asking for identification, as various maids, including the purple-haired maid and Manon, hold up herb, weed, or poison signs in confusion. The gray-haired head maid carries a tea set, instructing Crown Princess Lil Rose that a princess must appreciate tea and know how to serve others, as Crown Princess Lil Rose smiles. Amidst other maids and a delighted Rissa, the brown-haired maid and the purple-haired maid awkwardly practice sword fighting with wooden swords in the garden. A wooden practice sword lies on the grass as a maid complains that her hands hurt, and she has had enough. The gray-haired head maid stands sternly, holding a wooden sword, beside a smiling Crown Princess Lil Rose, while the purple-haired maid looks on nervously. The purple-haired maid looks distressed and hunched over, muttering in apparent shock. In a multi-panel scene, the maids perform awkward puppet shows and run through the garden, observed by a delighted Rissa. The brown-haired maid and the purple-haired maid stand looking shocked and worried, holding white cloths. Crown Princess Lil Rose, looking distressed, thinks that embroidery is impossible in this condition, while a hand reaches into the frame asking if she wishes to quit. The purple-haired maid looks angry and disgusted, thinking the other maid has been all talk and accomplished nothing. The purple-haired maid, looking angry, holds an embroidery hoop with a small cloth, while Crown Princess Lil Rose stands nearby, observing innocently. The brown-haired maid concentrates intently on her embroidery, holding a hoop and appearing a bit flustered. A hand holds an embroidery hoop, displaying beautifully stitched pink roses, while a thought bubble suggests the embroidery might now be even better. The purple-haired maid looks away with a frustrated and annoyed expression. Crown Princess Lil Rose looks surprised, explaining that handicraft is one of her hobbies, and insists that the head maid listen to her. The purple-haired maid recounts, gesturing angrily, how Crown Princess Lil Rose suddenly lunged at her when she was scolding another maid, as the brown-haired maid looks scared while holding her embroidery hoop. Lady Janet, the green-haired woman with glasses, looks sternly, silently acknowledging the purple-haired maid's statement. Crown Princess Lil Rose and the brown-haired maid stand close, both looking worried. The purple-haired maid confidently declares that the maids are currently unfit to properly serve the princess, with the gray-haired head maid observing. The brown-haired maid and the purple-haired maid hold their embroidery, looking surprised, while Crown Princess Lil Rose watches them with wide, concerned eyes from behind. Crown Princess Lil Rose walks down a grand hallway, deep in thought about how long the day has been. Crown Princess Lil Rose is seen from behind, opening a door in the grand, brightly lit hallway. Crown Princess Lil Rose peeks through the door, looking surprised as she sees the back of Crown Prince Edmund. Crown Princess Lil Rose looks shocked with wide, magenta eyes as Crown Prince Edmund tells her she is late. Crown Prince Edmund, with dark hair and yellow eyes, stands holding a dark blue cat-like plushie, looking surprised. Crown Princess Lil Rose, smiling sweetly, apologizes to Crown Prince Edmund for keeping him waiting, but he reassures her that no apologies are needed. Crown Prince Edmund thinks about having ended up sharing a bed with Crown Princess Lil Rose, shown with a visual of them sleeping next to a dark blue cat-like body pillow, and then reveals he has finished repairing the body pillow, which now has a scent bag function installed. Crown Princess Lil Rose looks worried, her magenta eyes wide as a hand reaches out towards her. Crown Prince Edmund's face is partially obscured as he declares he cannot sleep with her tonight. The dark blue cat-like body pillow falls to the ground with a soft thud. Crown Prince Edmund, with dark hair and yellow eyes, looks surprised and slightly distressed, reaching out his hand.